The Department of Veterans Affairs says it plans to cut 80,000 more jobs out of a workforce of several hundred thousand. Agency leaders promise to keep mission-critical positions, as they phrase them. But as NPR's Katie Riddle reports, some staffers say mental health care for veterans is already compromised.
Since the Trump White House issued an executive order to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, therapists at the VA can no longer have pride flags in their offices.
We're kind of skirting around that. Some people have put up art in their office that says, like, love is love, and it'll be a rainbow.
This woman is a mental health practitioner at a VA facility. She asked us not to disclose exactly where she works and to identify her only as Lynn, her middle name. She fears she could be fired for speaking out. She and some of her colleagues have started wearing rainbow jewelry and clothing, sending a message to her queer patients, you are safe here.
So we're all kind of like being subversive.
Her defiance comes with a cost.
Feeling like if I wear this stuff, am I then going to become a target from either my patients, but also maybe my peers, because there's this culture of you need to rat on people.
She's received emails encouraging people to report colleagues who are violating the new ban on DEI. All this stress and anxiety, she says, demands a lot of mental energy that gets robbed from her patients.
I've been really struggling with my concentration and my ability to focus when I'm at work because, again, I feel like I have this axe over my head all the time.
She says the news around federal cuts is destabilizing to her patients as well. For those that have post-traumatic stress disorder, it's especially difficult.
That sense of insecurity and lack of control is really triggering for PTSD. And then there's a sense of betrayal from the government.
The VA is one of the biggest providers of mental health care in the country. The positions that have already been cut have not primarily been clinicians, like doctors and nurses, but some warn the disruption to care will get worse regardless. Rashi Romanoff is the CEO of a nonprofit known as NAVREF, which stands for the National Association of Veterans Research and Education Foundations. The organization helps facilitate research projects at the VA.
The challenge is that, healthcare and the delivery of healthcare really requires these broad, diverse teams of individuals.
Romanoff says the VA has been a leader in not just providing mental health care, but also innovating in it.
We're really focused on the ability to conduct high-quality research because having high-quality research is a part of high-quality care.
In addition to the firings, the VA indicated it would not renew research positions and then reversed course and took a 90-day pause to review the research contracts. NAVREF warns that if these positions are lost, clinical trials studying opioid dependency or suicide prevention could end. They estimate $35 million of research is in jeopardy.
Between 350 and 400 clinical trials, which would have to be stopped or interrupted or halted or canceled because of this staffing shortage.
In an email response to NPR, the VA underscored that no contract positions will be terminated in the next 90 days, quote, while the department conducts a comprehensive assessment of ongoing research, unquote. Nurse practitioner Lynn says going to work every day feels like she's working on the Titanic.
And half the people on the boat are still in the ballroom partying, and 25% of them are actively telling me I'm hysterical.
Every day of providing mental health care requires its own mental battle.
And another portion of them are actively putting more holes in the boat at the same time.
She plans to stay aboard until she has no choice but to save herself. Katie Riddle, NPR News.
Well, federal employees get another email this weekend. The one asking them, what did you do last week? Trump advisor Elon Musk wants federal workers to report back every Monday. At a cabinet meeting, Musk said, just a way to ensure that people getting government paychecks actually exist. He called it a pulse check.
Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and two neurons?
Some federal workers didn't find that so funny. NPR's Andrea Hsu joins us. Andrea, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Managers ask their employees to keep them up to date all the time, tell them what they've been doing. That seems pretty ordinary, but you've heard from workers at the VA who are quite mad about these emails. Why are they so upset?
Yeah, well, for several reasons. First, because the original request did not come from their managers. It came from the Office of Personnel Management at the direction of Elon Musk. And, he has said this was his idea. And these emails hit inboxes over the weekends while most people were off, trying to relax. Now, the people I spoke with at the VA, they are mental health professionals. They help veterans with things like depression and PTSD, combat trauma, sexual trauma. And they say the government already closely tracks what they do. Supervisors can run reports on how many patients they see, how many phone calls they make, what time those interactions start and stop, what topics are discussed, and so on. So they don't know why an additional weekly email is necessary. And one psychologist I spoke with described the "what did you do last week" emails in pretty stark terms. She said they're like flashbang grenades meant to discombobulate federal workers. And NPR agreed not to identify her or others at the VA by name because they're scared they'll lose their jobs for speaking out.
Andrea, did the mental health workers with whom you spoke answer their emails, list their accomplishments?
Yeah, they did, because the VA told them they should respond. And in fact, they told me it's not hard writing down, a few things about what they did, a few sentences about what they did. But they do see it as just one more thing getting in the way of their work, which is helping veterans deal with these really tough problems. And it's coming at a time when there's been so much upheaval in the federal government. The VA this week announced deep cuts ahead, and a psychologist I talked to said patients are themselves worried. She has patients asking her, "Are you going to be here next week or next month?" And she says she's spending a lot of time calming their nerves instead of focusing on their treatments.
So the stress that mental health workers are feeling isn't all about the emails.
Yeah, well, I spoke with a Harvard Business School professor about this. Her name is Amy Edmondson, and she's a social psychologist. She says you have to think about the context when you consider the impact of these emails that originated with Elon Musk.
Think about it. You're in your job, and suddenly you're getting an email from someone who's not your boss and not your peer, not your subordinate, not someone that you normally interact with to do your job. What's under it?
And the people I talked to, Scott, say they're doing the best they can to keep it together for their patients. But one psychiatrist told me she's anxious and irritable, and she finds herself doing things like doom scrolling the internet, which she knows is not good. In fact, it's something she tells her own patients not to do.
What does the Trump administration say?
Well, we asked the White House to comment on what we've heard from these VA employees, and we haven't heard back. We do know that President Trump supports Elon Musk's effort to gather these weekly responses. The president has repeatedly said there are some workers in the federal government who aren't doing a good job and shouldn't be there. Now, we don't know what the administration is doing with these responses. Some have speculated they're using AI to analyze them, but to what end is not clear. The administration has told agencies to collect the information and decide how to deal with people who don't respond.
If any of the people with whom you've spoken, mental health workers, thought about leaving?
Yeah, but they tell me they really don't want to. They love their work. They know they can make more money in private practice. But one psychologist told me she felt a call to duty to serve those who have served the country. And she said, "I'm not a quitter. I won't be bullied into quitting." She plans to stay as long as she can.
NPR's Andrea Hsu, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Scott.
Why haven't you learned anything?
Last night, the Trump administration announced it's cutting nearly half of all staff at the U.S. Department of Education.
Shortly after, many of those employees started receiving emails letting them know they would soon be losing their jobs.
NPR education reporter Janaki Mehta has been hearing from some of those staffers. So let's just start with the scale of these layoffs and what parts of the agency were affected.
Yeah, so the announcement that came from the Department of Education Tuesday night said the agency was cutting nearly 50% of its staff, and that number includes some of the people who've already taken voluntary buyouts or decided to retire. And in that statement, Education Secretary Linda McMahon said these cuts reflect the department's, quote, commitment to efficiency, accountability, and ensuring that resources are directed where they matter most, to students, parents, and teachers. And the announcement clearly said all divisions of the agency will be impacted. The Department of Ed sent union leaders a list of employees who would be laid off, and the union shared that list with NPR. The cuts are certainly wide-ranging. Hundreds of employees from the Federal Student Aid Office, just under 250 employees from the Office of Civil Rights, and another 100-plus from the Institute of Education Sciences, which was already gutted by other federal cuts a few weeks ago, and many other parts of the agency were reflected in that list, too.
All right, now you've been in touch with some of the staffers who are being laid off. What have they been saying?
Yeah, I heard from multiple employees who were notified yesterday that they will be laid off in coming days. Sharia Smith is an attorney at the Department of Ed's Office for Civil Rights. She's also president of AFGE Local 252, which is a union that represents Ed Department employees. And Smith, along with all 5 of the other union officers in her chapter, were told Tuesday that they're being laid off.
Not only are we concerned about how we will now pay our bills, but what impact this is going to have to the American public, families who have students with special needs. What they've just done today is fire hundreds of the employees that would be enforcing those rights.
So the Office for Civil Rights, where Smith works, is responsible for making sure students aren't being discriminated against at school, and that includes students with disabilities.
Now, I know this news is pretty fresh, but do we know if these cuts are even legal? I mean, aren't some of these education department offices protected by law?
Yes, they are. So, for example, the Institute of Education Sciences, or IES, does research on all kinds of topics related to American education. It has a bunch of sub-branches that were established in laws passed by Congress as well. But I saw a termination email for an employee of one of those sub-branches that I'm talking about that clearly states that their entire unit is being, quote, abolished. Whether or not that's legal is not clear yet. Say, like, if the Ed Department has retained at least some of the employees at these offices that are protected by law, they could be leaving the door open to say that office hasn't completely been shut down. Kenneth Wong is a professor of education policy at Brown University, and here's what he said.
Now, the executive branch can argue that they are partially implementing the law, and they would probably argue that there's no longer a need for the personnel to fulfill these functions.
So Wong says that will ultimately be up to Congress and probably the courts to decide.
All right, that's NPR education reporter Janaki Mehta. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, A.
Big businesses are even more dependent on global trade. Here's what some CEOs are saying about the effects of tariffs. BlackRock's Larry Fink thinks tariffs could be productive eventually, but he's hearing from the businesses he talks to now that the economy is weakening as we speak. And J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon said, uncertainty is not a good thing. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld is an associate dean at the Yale School of Management. He just wrapped up his CEO caucus in Washington, D.C. with about 100 top executives. Jeffrey, I got to imagine that CEOs are probably a little bit more forthcoming in private. What'd they tell you? What can you share with us?
No, that's exactly right. It was an amazing contrast between the business roundtable they went to in the afternoon, where they sat like in a church basement somewhere, in rows and columns, silently pious, listening to the president rant, whereas the exact people, 100 of them, whether or not the CEOs of J.P. Morgan, Pfizer, Dell, Goodyear, Duke Energy, Stanley Black & Decker, Steelcase, and others, ADP, American Airlines, they're going quite candidly with each other about what dismay they have. We also had 60 major city U.S. mayors with them to keep everybody honest. They're very discouraged. 80% of them said they find themselves apologizing for our international to our international partners for Trump's capriciousness, and 85% that the Biden economy that Trump was handed was a strong legacy, and roughly 70% say that the Trump administration is going to be bad for the economy, and they're very concerned. Just with the quote you had from Larry Fink, 92% of them say that they are increasingly concerned that the U.S. economy is headed towards a recession.
But Jeffrey, are they shaking in their boots, or are they just kind of annoyed?
They're actually shaking in their boots. Something which caught us by surprise is while they thought that the market has fallen over 10 to 12%, and that's the same with consumer confidence, that the Michigan survey has fallen by that same amount, 10 to 12%, which is stunning in this short amount of time, and the M&A deal activity has dropped off, which is undeniable. It hasn't been this low in over a decade. They want the market to drop yet even more before they start to speak out, because they're so concerned about Trump's vindictiveness that the couriers of bad tidings get shot by this emperor. However,
Jeffrey, let me understand something. So if the markets get worse, if things get worse, then they're in a stronger position to criticize it, because then it's obvious to everyone.
Yes. Right now, they think they do have market fluctuations as large as 10%, which are alarming, but not cause to I think set the place on fire. However, if it drops by another 10%, they feel that will be the time they have to speak out on the economy. What caught us by surprise is they feel it's time to speak out now on the degradation of national security. The demoralization and mass layoffs at the CIA, the FBI, the dismissal of the foreign interference task forces in the Justice Department, and the relaxation of cybersecurity, where we have 1,000 hits a day on the White House alone on cyber attacks. They think it's time now to speak out on the defense, national security issues, but they want to wait a little bit for things to get even worse on the economy before they collectively speak out.
Jeffrey, let me squeeze in really quick. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, this is what he told CBS News when he defended the administration's trade policy.
The only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with. These policies produce revenues, they produce growth, they produce factories being built here.
So is that what other CEOs think as well? I mean, that tariffs will eventually produce a growing economy?
No CEOs think that, and other than the fact there's no CEO we know that thinks Howard Lutnick knows quite what he's talking about. He reverses himself at the head-spinning speed of Donald Trump himself. He was screaming and yelling just 2 days ago, there will not be a pause, and then literally within the hour he said there will be a pause on tariffs with Canada. He bounces all over the place. But the Biden economy, as these CEOs that I just shared that data with you, showed 85% of them tell us that this is the strongest economy, not only in their lifetime, but the Biden economy they're handed was one of the strongest in American history and the strongest in the world. That's what 85% of CEOs say, other than no matter what Howard Lutnick says. We haven't had unemployment this low from the Biden years since Bonanza was the #1 show on television since 1968. So, that's just ludicrous. So they were handed, an economy that had 17 market highs in a year.
I've only seen Bonanza in reruns, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Sonnenfeld is a senior associate dean at the Yale School of Management. Jeffrey, thanks.
Thank you.
Welcome to the News Hour. The U.S. labor market made solid gains again last month, adding 151,000 more jobs just before the biggest federal layoffs began to hit.
Unemployment crept up to 4.1%. More than 7 million Americans are unemployed. Manufacturing had its best report in months with 10,000 new jobs, which President Trump hailed at the White House.
We've not only stopped that manufacturing collapse, but we've begun to rapidly reverse it and get major gains. We created 10,000 manufacturing jobs in February alone. That hasn't happened in a long time. And these aren't government jobs, which actually we cut. These are private sector manufacturing jobs. So we gained all of those jobs, 10,000 jobs, and we barely started yet.
The economy actually last added more than 10,000 manufacturing jobs just a few months ago, back in November of 2024. But there are other warning signs of what could be ahead, not yet fully captured in this report.
The outplacement firm Challenger Gray reported more than 170,000 layoffs last month, more than 62,000 of those from the federal government. That is the highest monthly total it's reported since 2020. Julia Coronado is an economist at the University of Texas in Austin who runs her own firm called Macro Policy Perspectives. Julia, welcome back to the News Hour. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So 151,000 jobs added in February. That is up from 143,000 in January. How do you look at this report? What do you see?
It was a solid report. That's a very respectable job gain, but there were under the hood some signs of cooling. As you noted, the biggest federal layoffs that have been announced and actually, followed through on really hit after the data was collected. The data was collected for this report through mid-February. Most of those layoffs have happened since then. So we expect something like a 30,000 loss of jobs in the March report, or maybe possibly even greater. We also saw the unemployment rate creep up. That's again still a very low, 4.1%, still a very low unemployment rate, so not in and of itself a warning sign. But we saw underemployment also rise. That is, we had almost 500,000 people take part-time jobs who wanted full-time jobs. And that's something we track as kind of a leading indicator of cooling conditions. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
You saw President Trump there emphasizing the 10,000 jobs added in manufacturing in particular. Those ads, though, they were dwarfed by jobs added in other sectors like education and health, where we saw some 73,000 jobs added. We saw 19,000 jobs added in construction. The president noted, though, that manufacturing has really been struggling. So does he have a point in pulling that out? Is that number of jobs added notable to you?
Not really. 10,000 is a relatively small number in the grand scheme of 150,000, which has been about the pace we've been seeing. And it bounces around from month to month. So I think you noted there was a greater than 10,000 job gain in November. It's been bouncing around plus minus. The manufacturing sector in general has been pretty subdued after a surge of goods spending during the pandemic. Consumers have really shifted their spending to services, and manufacturing has been flatlining. And most recently, some sentiment indicators suggest some warning signs. Of course, manufacturing is going to be the epicenter of any trade wars. And we hear anecdotes of a lot of uncertainty in terms of making plans, making capital spending plans or hiring plans when you just don't know what the landscape looks like.
Well, what about those concerns about the on-again and off-again tariffs from the Trump administration, that they could be inflationary, they could even lead to a recession? Do you share those concerns?
I think it's too early to say that the U.S. is heading to a recession. Certainly, we've seen the U.S. just continue to be more resilient than people expect, year after year, quarter after quarter. And one of the things the U.S. has going in its favor is that it is the most diversified economy. We have manufacturing, we have construction, we have professional services jobs. We have leisure and hospitality jobs, government jobs, all of them. Healthcare, as you noted, been a big contributor to job gains. So we have a really robust, diversified economy. We do worry, though, not just about the federal job losses. The federal sector is pretty small. It's less than 2% of the workforce. But there's been a lot of cuts in contract payments to contractors with the federal government. And that's probably twice as big as the actual loss of federal jobs directly. So we're really watching that carefully. Who contracts with the federal government? Pretty much everybody, from farmers to hospitals to universities to primary schools. And those are areas where job gains have been really strong over the last year or two. So we're watching for signs that those sectors that have really driven the gains feel the squeeze of both the reduced payments as well as just the uncertainty that hangs over the environment right now.
Meanwhile, Julia, in the minute or so I have left, I know you were at a conference in New York today where the Fed chair, Jay Powell, spoke. Did you get any sense of how the Fed is preparing to navigate all of this, the tariffs, the dramatic government cuts? What's ahead?
So the message today was very clear that they're not in a rush to judgment. The plan has been to lower interest rates further. That's very complicated if they're facing a burst of inflation from tariffs. And the message from Chair Powell was, with a still solid labor market, we can afford to take our time and see how this combination of policies, trade wars and tariffs, restricted immigration, but on the other side, fiscal policy, potential deregulation, how does that all fit together and affect the overall economy? They're taking kind of a wait and see approach.
All right, Julia Coronado, Macro Policy Perspectives. Thank you so much for your time and insights. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Grapes of Wrath. Next one is Wild River, something a movie almost nobody never heard of. It's about building dams in the South, right prior to World War II. The WPA and all that.
I don't understand. You say you're behind in clearing the fields, and yet here you have 12 able-bodied men who want jobs. They want to work.
I also said that Not now, Jack. I also said that we can't hire niggers. The whites would quit.
That is a chance we have to take.
Let's go out back.
I suppose you figure that if you take all the Negroes off Garth Island, you'll leave the old lady stranded. And she'll have to get off, too. Is that it?
Well, Sheriff, it might work out that
I'm
way.
afraid you're heading into trouble with some of the town folk if you do this. The custom here...
Look, this is TVA. We're new. We don't have any customs yet. I'm going to hire those men, and every man, black or white, gets paid the same.
Well, Mr. Glover, I predict your next visit will be from a Mr. Moore.
We'd like a few words. My name's Cy Moore.
Mr. Moore. Come on in. What can I do for you?
Thank you. Now, Mr. Glover, we've come here to help you. Mr. Todd here is president of our bank.
Just fine.
And Mr. Thompson, he's our undertaker. Also runs the furniture store. Very highly thought of. I'm just a plain businessman.
Won't you sit down?
Well, thank you. Telling you all this just so you'll know who you're having this little chat with. We're all, what you might say, the responsibles of the town.
I see. And you're here to tell me that if I hire Negroes, the whites will quit, is that it?
Why, not at all. What could possibly make you think that?
Sorry.
Just a matter of keeping them in separate gangs.
Keeping them
in separate gangs.
All right. I will do that. I'll do that.
But we were sure you would. Now, Mr. Glover, how much you plan to pay these men?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're not planning to pay them same as a white man.
They're going to do the same jobs.
Now, Mr. Glover, you look like a reasonable man.
You do.
So just think, after this project of yours is over, we can't go on paying these boys the same money a white man gets.
Would ruin our whole economy down here. The federal government can't make such distinctions.
Well, just the same, we'd a whole lot rather you paid these boys what they're used to getting. How much you pay a white man for the job?
$5 a day.
Well, now, you're not talking about paying one of these darkies $5 a day.
I'll go out myself for $5 a day.
Well, I'll get you any number of the biggest, strongest, best-looking bucks in this country for $2 a day. Now, we're all for the TVA, Mr. Glover, and we want to help you, so if you just go along with us on this one little point, I'm sure everything will be satisfactory.
And if I don't go along with you?
Well, now, as I said, we're the responsibles of this town,
But there are other type men here.
Yes, there are. Men who aren't so responsible. We can control them only to a point.
For instance, old Bailey, he's a good boy.
Yes, he's a very good boy. Bailey wanted to come over with us.
In which case, the conversation would have been a whole lot different.
Well, we said to Bailey, didn't we, Fred? We said, let us go over and talk to that boy.
Give him a chance.
And that was all right with him.
We made it all right with him.
Well, we want to help you, but Bailey...
Hard boy to reason with.
Yes, he is. And there are a whole lot just like him in this town.
Really?
We want you to know just how we feel about it, Mr. Glover.
I understand how you feel about it. I'd like to think it over. Betty, would you ask them to come in, please?
Y'all come on in.
Come on in. I'll be right with you. Hi, Sam.
Context of White Supremacy. Worthless Negro from Virginia, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, March 13, 2025. So I have been told. Our weekly summit, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators, especially if you have federal employment, maybe for the next 5 minutes. If you have figured out suggestions, things that would be helpful to non-white employees, regardless of what field they happen to be in, let us know. We need a few tips, strategies, how to minimize problems in the workplace. Maybe even how to update a resume. The number 605 313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. If you would like to remain anonymous, don't want to be identified, think you have a voice that is peculiar or unique, untiljustice@gmail.com. And that way we can share your thoughts, particularly if you have suggestions, things that would be helpful for non-white people. We would love to know. Now, I'll do the last segment first, just because that was not a news report per se. The great Neely Fuller Jr., pressed the wrong button. Apologies. But Neely Fuller Jr., he has his film list that he gave out years ago, and he put it in chronological order, gives out movies that he suggests victims of white supremacy check out. Look for major lessons to help us produce justice. The racism component will be there. Importantly, most of the films that Fuller recommends, they are not films that are directly about racism. Like, it won't be something like a Malcolm X, even though that is a film he recommends, but that's not even like one of the primary films he talks about. It'll be something like Shawshank Redemption, right? Like, racism is not the main part of that movie, even though it is a component. Red. Wild River. Man, that film, you heard, Fuller saying, oh yeah, that's, a really good one to check out. Now, that film, ostensibly, 1960, I don't know what the trailer is and all that, and it is based on a true story, unless I've been misinformed, how they say it, based on a true story. And the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, where white people, federal government, they send in officials, say, hey, we got to make all these dams, it's going to flood the area, people who live in this area, eminent domain and all the rest of it, hey, we got to buy up all this property, land, we got to put these dams in, you all got to move, we got to get you, a house someplace else and all the rest of it. That's what the movie's about, and getting these recalcitrant white people, racists, to sell their property when they have refused to do so. How to get them to move without resorting to violence. Now that, I guess, would be how they explain what this movie is about. Man, racism through and through. Now, I remember years ago, because I had seen this movie, more than a decade ago when Mr. Fuller first told me about it. I remember the first time I sat down to watch it, the white TVA official is going to Chuck Glover, that's his character's name. He's going in to talk to these white Tennesseans, hey gang, we're going to put this dam in, y'all got to move, and the government, we're going to get you a new house and all that'll be way better, and we have dangerous floods, so we got to do this. And I'm like, oh no, we're not moving, we don't have to do any work here, it's a great setup we got. He's like, you don't have to do any work? Who does your work? They don't even verbally respond. They just point, and the camera pans, and you see a group of dark folks. The first time I was watching this movie, and that scene played, I had the pause button like, whoop. I did not think that's what this, I was not expecting there to be that much flagrant racism in the movie. I might even say that's what the whole movie is really about. The racism in all of this, because one of the white people who will not move, she has like slaves. So that's a big part of it. Like if we can get her, you heard some of it in the clip that I played, maybe we can get her slaves jobs, they'll leave. Now this is from the 20th century, slaves. So maybe we get her slaves jobs, they'll leave. And then she won't have any help and they'll have to leave. You know. Man, that scene where those white people, and these are the respectable whites, they come in, they got their suits on and spectacles and a little bit older, they have gray hair, and they sit down all polite, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Call him by his last name and all that, Mr. Glover. Look here. You gonna, and even they started out, they said, you think we're upset about you using niggers? No, we use niggers for the work. That's not it at all. Come, you misunderstand. He said, now, you got to keep the niggers separate from the whites. Now, here we go with that lie again. Separate. You got to have separate gangs, which Mr. Glover, the federal employee, he immediately agrees with. No problem. You can have separate gangs for the niggers. Okay. They go to the next one. What are you going to pay these boys? Not men and women. What you going to pay these boys? You can't pay them the same as a white man. Now, you could have played that, you know, right now, 2025. They do not pay white men the same as black males. Way closer pay disparity between white females and black females, although it's still a disparity. But, woo, and they said females, the pay disparity corrected overnight. Sometimes they don't even need legislation. Just make it transparent. Non-white males, we got the audio clips. White labor specialist said that a lot more resistance. You can pay a nigger male same thing you pay a white man? That ruin our whole economy. That's what he said. That's what he said. You gonna pay $5? I go out there myself. You gonna pay a nigger $5? The same as a white man? To clear? They say, now look here. Hey, we tried to be nice about this. Now, the Gary boys, would have been a different conversation if they had come and heard you gonna pay nigger males $5, same as a white. It would have been a different conversation. And since Mr. Glover, federal employee, since he does insist on paying black males the same as white men, Mr. Gary and the others do come, and it is a very different conversation. What Fuller say? He said, now, once we are done with the lying, we have tried lying, being deceitful, and that didn't work. We tried it, direct violence. In this case, that would be white people being violent with other white people about the employment of niggers. Now, why did I play that segment at this point, even though all of that would have been sufficient? But at this moment, because all of that animosity at the federal government, because these are federal workers, federal white men who are coming in, and y'all got to move, and we got to employ these niggers. The Tennessee Valley Authority, that is a federal organization, although it doesn't exist anymore, but that was a federal organization. So that same sentiment exists right now. Close the Department of Education and all the rest of this and get rid of the niggers, get rid of the niggers. That's why I read that report, or it's many of them, how they talked about all these cuts to federal employment. Huge impact on black employees, because you have a disproportionate number of black people who work federal jobs. That's the dynamic right there. Normal white racists in Tennessee, we not hiring no niggers. We certainly not going to pay them the same thing as we would pay a white man or a white woman. Not that the federal government isn't racist, but Whoa, y'all messing up that we don't even do business like that. You don't come in here and tell us how to run our niggras. That same, a good 100 years of that sort of sentiment from people classified as white. The federal government, OBZ in them, Kamala Harris and them, y'all come in trying to tell us, push us around, tell us what to do with our niggers and ruin. Really, all the way back to Civil War, same, but specifically with federal employment. At post office, talked about that's another one. Environmental Protection Agency. But I heard that going back and watching Picnic, I said, that's it right there. Racism directed at federal employment of niggers. Federal compensation of niggers. You gonna pay them the same thing you pay a white man? What? Doge. Any hoodles. Neely Fuller Jr., Robust Gratitude. That is an amazing film. Wild River. And like I said, it's all about racism. In my view, now it is, moving these people out and put the dam up, but I mean, it is all, you heard what he say. Hey, Sam, you know who Sam is. Hey, Sam, that's the Negro males. And when the white people who had come in, been talking nice and friendly, they look over and they see Sam, and Sam bought all his friends, Leroy and Devontae and Devin and all of it. We're going to have to go get Gary and the other white people, see if we can change your mind. We done talking. Sam. Now, see those old movies? That movie came out in 1960. They get Casablanca and all these movies. Why is all the niggers Sam? My name is not Sam. You don't just call any nigger Sam. That should be another nigger male name I can add to it. So we got Leroy, we got Devontae, we got Jamal, Sam. Anyway, so Wild River if you need a film to watch. Now, the other sound clips of animosity and confusion with the federal employment, the Veterans Administration started right there. They even, in fact, they had a segment where they said it was confusion. They said the employees specifically at the Veterans Administration, they feel discombobulated. Woof. Got to break out the dictionary and spell it. You so discombobulated. Spell it then. They that confused. They got to get multisyllabic on us. Man, that right there also, Neely Fuller Jr., the system of white supremacy, confusion. I have seen that combination of words so frequently in the midst of all of this, and it's really only been about a month or so. Confusion, chaos. Is this legal? Do we have to respond to these emails? Do I still have a job? Who knows? And it changes from minute to minute. We saw that with COVID-19. Literally, you can drive people insane just by getting them confused, where they don't know how they did it. I don't know what's up or down. I don't know if I'm going or coming. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Oh, my God. What? You can drive people insane. Discombobulated. I don't know what I'm going to do. It is very difficult to thrive, strive towards universal man, universal woman, even really to make sense in that sort of environment, especially when it's prolonged. Biting my nails for months. What? Same thing with dislocation that Fuller talked about. You can drive people nutty, and white people know this. That's why they keep saying confusion, chaos. And then the trickle down from all of this. So we started the Veteran Administration. They said, man, all this chaos with us and cuts and all the rest of it, That's impacting our mental health services. Don't you end up with a lot of Leroy Sams who end up military that, hey man, Neely Fuller Jr., former federal employee, Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and two-time Korean War veteran. Someone like him. I got PTSD, went over there fighting them slopes and Japs, man, and need to talk about it. Fuller, sit down. Irie, we got listeners, other folks. Scotty Reed, founder of Black Talk Radio Network. Whole lots of black people. Veterans. James Meredith down in Mississippi, veteran. Can't get their care and what have you in a responsible manner. That was a problem for a lot of black people, veterans anyway. Now you done cut staff, and staff is confused and discombobulated, and Sam don't know what to do with the VA. Now what the service look like? Now, even incidentally, the clip that we played about the VA, I didn't hear no. I gotta sneak my Black Lives Matter paraphernalia in. See, we can't have the Black Lives Matter sign, but I came on the sneak. See, I got my old picture. I got my Obama T-shirt. See, I got that. I wear my old Obama. I got my old picture of Obama up. See, they can't tell me I can't have a picture of the president on the White House. I just try, sprinkle little things where I can. I got my little picture of Michelle Obama. Just little things where I can to show them that, hey, Black Lives Matter. I didn't hear none of that. I just heard rainbow here and LGBTQ and love is love with a rainbow. Nah, it ain't no love niggers. We don't love Sam. LGBTQ. That's what we love. What is the everybody in the military is gay? Why? I don't even real talk. Why is that the politics that we need at the Veterans Association? Like, why can't it just be about veterans and thank you for your service and let's get to the PTSD? All the slopes and Japs and non-white people that we bombed and Agent Oranged and everything else. Why can't we just get to that? Why does it have to be all the, flags and rainbows and everything? What is the import of all of that? I don't even think that's constructive. Real talk, I don't think that's constructive. I mean, does it switch over depending on the administration and who's hired? Like you go in sometimes and they got their propaganda up in opposition to abortion or whatever, their leanings happen to be depending on who's hired. No, man, just be a professional and do your job. We don't need I say that all the time. I have said that. Don't you have no Black Lives Matter pin on your lapel and all of that? Be a professional. Just go in and do your job. They got to be the gay this and flag this, and I'm mad. I can't even think straight. I can't even do my services because I got to make sure I have my rainbow love pin on. Come on. Put the Lavina Johnson pin on. How about that? We ain't doing that. Okay. Let's see. Now, we also heard the Department of Education. Same thing. Massive cuts. Now, they were talking about not just cuts. They being the White House, President Trump, Elon Musk, they were talking about not just a few cuts, losing a few jobs at the Department of Education. They were talking about eradicating the entire department. Now, I posted reports already. This is in California, where they said already, just talking about all of this, the disruptions. This is from the LA Times today. In San Francisco, SF, everything goes back to the Bay. The branch of the department, the regional department for the Office for Civil Rights, already backlogged with investigations into school-related, now they said discrimination, I changed it to racism. School-related racism will be closed. One of the broad effects of the layoffs that advocates say are sending tremors through the school system. What a metaphor. They already got wildfires and floods and mudslides in California. Now we got tremors because of these cuts at the Department of Education. And specifically, that's what I mean about the trickle down of all of this, because I'm sure you have lots of black educators being impacted. Same thing. Are we going to have a job? And oh my goodness, what discombobulated. But then they said, hey, now some of this, we're supposed to be checking, have students bounced back from COVID? All those drops in scores and Zoom learning, and you got to wear a mask and disruption. People that are supposed to be examined to see, have we recuperated from all of that? Now, do I have a job? Don't know. Whole administration might be gone. And folks supposed to be, wait a minute now, are y'all still pipelining Leroy on into that orange jumpsuit? Or are you trying to get him to an AP chemistry class? Oh, wait a minute. And they said now in San Francisco, I suspect that's probably the case throughout the U.S., but they said San Francisco, they were already backlogged. That was the VA too. We were already backlogged with these cases. Now you cutting staff and got us burned out and stressed and all the rest of it. Who knows if we'll catch up? I'm not surprised by any of that, especially they've been saying for about a decade or so, more non-white children than white children. Oh, yeah. Total evisceration of anything related to public education. I'm sure you'll have white sacrifice in there, tough noogies, but I mean, hey, black children, black educators, all of the above, whatever. Now, they talked about in terms of these cuts, will it work out? Will it benefit the economy in the long run? Could we be heading towards a recession? Same thing we've said for a long time. Individuals classified as white. You have an environment of chaos, job loss, Department of Education shut down, all the rest of it. Yeah, you might have some white sacrifice. You heard some of them at the Veterans Administration, other fields where you do have white people who are concerned. Oh, man, they're going to lose our job. Oh, man, we're speaking out. Oh, man, we get trouble. Man, white people do not get fired. White people get transferred. I am sure any of these white people, federal employees or anywhere on the spectrum, they lose their job, it will be so much easier for them to get another job. It is these black people, federal employees. So probably you got black people, the Veterans Administration, Department of Education, across the landscape where they, at CDC, we played clips previously, where you have black people in these jobs. Man, these are not folks, many of them who dropped out of school, did the Mark Furman route, and got a GED. You probably got a lot of folks who invested time, pursued a degree, training to get, a specific skill set so they could go and do these jobs, not making chicken nuggets or whatever. And now, what? I'm going to be fired and have to start all over again? And in this environment, like, do what? Discombobulated. That is exactly the environment that white people want black people in at all times. Discombobulated. Can't be universal man, universal woman if you are discombobulated. That's why Fuller talked about this all the time. Not being reckless with spending. Even if you have that great job, making all this money and what have you, you do not want to have a really extravagant lifestyle. Don't go get the most expensive piece of property that you can just because you get that first direct deposit slip. And, oh my goodness, man, we came on. Nah. Save and save and save and save, because, hey, could be, oh, dang, they didn't close the whole department? Dang, we all got fired? Dang. Save. We heard that, folks down in Atlanta at the CDC. I just bought a house. I'm not working at McDonald's. I work for the Center for Disease Control. They're not closing the CDC anytime soon, I hope. I should have a good stable job, a good government job. Nope. And all of this could be end stage white supremacy that Dr. Welsing talked about, where, hey, we white people feel the anxiety around, are our numbers being threatened? Are there enough of us? I just said Department of Education, we don't have tons of little white babies being born. Ooh, Got to do something. Increase mistreatment against these niggers. Let's get to it. That could be, what we are looking at. Any hoodles. Let's see. Specifically there were two other reports. I'll kind of get to those as we proceed to get to some of the same thing with these cuts and even the scrapping of so-called diversity, inclusion, equity initiatives and how that relates to white women specifically. Make sure to get that report in as we proceed. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Again, we have folks who are federal employees. If you've been getting those wacky emails to discombobulate you, have they been telling you to reply, not reply, prove, that you still have a pulse? Explain what you did, last 7 days or last 30 days. Has that been you? Are you a federal employee? Maybe you didn't get those emails, but, folks are still chattering away in the workplace. Are we going to have a job? And what is going on? Blah, blah, blah. Incidentally, I would try to avoid those conversations in the workplace. Now, you can certainly listen, but I would not be in there just running off at the mouth, because a lot of that is going to lead into politics. And I would not be on your job talking non-white people, classified as black, or white people. I would not be in a workplace capacity where you are grousing about Elon Musk, Doge, President Trump, none of the above. Wishing for the good old Biden days, none of the above. Even if you are, mad, upset, whatever, you are a federal employee and you do think, man, we can get laid off. This sucks. Can't believe these folks got in. That we do not talk politics on the job. And I would sit around and think of how you can say something very short and pivot out of the discussion. Now, I would live when I say pivot out to where you don't have to do talking. If white people are talking to you about these concerns, I would listen. What are they saying? Have they heard something? Because, see, I would want to be perked up. That's what I mean about getting intel. Now, if they've heard, something is coming down the pike, might be letting us go. I don't know. We got a meeting scheduled for that sort of thing. Perk up, then you can ask questions, because now we're just back on the job. But in terms of just the general anxiety and malaise, we want to have a grouse session, and what do you think about all this, and isn't that Trump lame, and none of that. It's crazy. I hope I have a job tomorrow, and get right back on focused on the workplace. Like I said, now, if they're talking about what could be happening specifically with this job and our employees, and if we are going to be laid off, that perk up. I'm all ears. That's why you don't want to wear headphones and such in the workplace. At minimum, you don't want to have both of the earbuds in, right? You have one in, one out, and then you don't have the volume all crazy loud with the one earbud or what have you that is in, so that you can still hear. You might have employees talking around you who are sharing information about, possible cuts, layoffs, whatever it is. You want to know all that as early as possible. If you need to pivot, you need to update that resume or anything else, I want as much time as possible. Hopefully that makes sense. Listen up. They say you got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen. I am not the one chatting about how lame all this is and that no good Trump, and he messed everything up for all of us. None of that. Anywho, number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 If you would like to participate, the email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. Folks who dialed in now, down in the great California, just mentioned San Francisco. Z's mommy should be with us. Greetings, Z's mommy.
Greetings. Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So, yeah, I guess the first part about the federal workers, it is incredibly unfortunate. I don't have that much advice, but I did work a job once where it was very often that people got laid off once work was slow, and it created a really tense environment. The only thing I could say, which is probably what they've already heard before, is to make sure you log and capture all of the tasks that you are working on and all the skills that you've gained, because once you're, it could happen where you are working from home and you just don't have access to any of your emails, Teams, any of your work logins, you don't have access to your laptop, and all of the work that you have done, you don't have a proper accounting of it. So I think that it's just really important. I try to keep a quarterly Excel sheet of just the tasks that I've done and my proficiency, or if I've improved in them. Obviously, it helps for your performance review, but it also helps when you're trying to write out your resume. And even if you haven't heard anything, I would still update my resume and apply to jobs, even if you don't feel like you're going to be fired or you haven't heard anything, because the applying for jobs is very arduous and it's really discouraging, and to do it earlier, to do it while you still have a job is a lot better, because you may have been at your job for a very long time. I know, for my mother, she was at her job for 20 plus years and she had never written a resume. I had to help her write a resume because she had so much job security. This was for an internal position, but still, and she hadn't interviewed. So the same way that companies post jobs that they don't actually want to fill, you should apply to jobs that you may not even want to take and interview, because you may not have the same interviewing skills that you've had in the past. It's a different skill set to be able to interview well versus giving a presentation at work. So that's the advice that I would give. I was listening to one of the clips you played, and I thought it was interesting how they were discussing unemployment numbers and how Joe Biden's economy was, I think they said, robust. I thought that was interesting because I'm pretty sure a lot of people voted for Trump, and a lot of their reasoning was because of the economy. But I guess you'd be interested in if these white people and news anchors call, what do they refer to as the economy? And they said that unemployment was record lows and that there was still underemployment. And they define underemployment as part-time work or not having full-time work. But I would think that underemployment is if you're working full or part-time, but not able to afford to live where you work. And I think that if they actually change that definition, they would see that a lot of people are actually underemployed, especially a lot of non-white people, because a lot of non-white people work in cities that they can't afford to live in and commute 30, 40 minutes, sometimes an hour or so. To update about my plantation job situation, so I previously talked about a project that I was working on where one of my colleagues was doing a very poor job. He was the lead engineer and he was transferred because he's white, so he wasn't going to get fired, and he caused a lot of conflict with the client. So now they've asked me to work with a different lead engineer and to come back to this project. And so now I'm back, and there's a lot of things that he did wrong and was just too lazy to fix. there's a lot of things that he told the client were impossible to fix, which was not true. It was a lie. He just didn't want to fix them. And so we had to, so when he was working on the project, he was working on the first phase of the project. We're now in the second phase. So on top of working on the second phase of the project, we had to spend a lot of time fixing the issues that he made in the first phase. And we try to contact him, and he doesn't really provide any reasoning for the engineering decisions he made. And so obviously we're not going to justify these decisions to the client because someone else made them and we can't understand why he made them. But there are a lot of just very, very lazy things that he did. And even the client told me, I didn't even know there was a solution to that problem because he told me there was no solution. So now I'm having to fix his problems and on this phase, which is causing us to work 12, 14 plus hour days. It's very overwhelming. I'm learning a lot and I think I'm becoming a better engineer, but it's very frustrating to have to solve other people's problems that they made because they were too lazy to fix them. And I even, a different engineer who's in a different department, I was purchasing some equipment and he was telling me, like, very adamantly and with a lot of confidence, this equipment will not work for this application. And I was very confused because this is not even his department. And I told him, I'm sure it will because I've talked to the vendor about it and it will work. And he was very adamant about it. And I eventually asked him, like, what is your reasoning why you think that this equipment will not work? And he told me it was because the previous engineer, the one who got transferred, told him it wouldn't work. That was the only reason why he believed it wouldn't work. I just thought it was just, very fascinating, the confidence that white people have to look me in the face and tell me something, but not actually have any proof or reasoning behind it besides what they heard from another person. So that was very interesting. I think the last time I was talking about an operator at the site that I'm working on who constantly watches like Fox News and Candace Owens videos at the workplace. So he's in a department as an operator, maintenance person with I think maybe 5 or 6 other people. All those people are black. He's only a white person. We have to do a training for them about how to handle all of the new equipment and how to clean everything, and it's really, really important, the training that we're giving. He's not here. I guess he's on vacation. And so we scheduled the training, and then 2 of the people who are working, our clients, basically, they said, oh, no, like, we scheduled the training, but he's not here, and it's really important that he gets the training. And I asked, like, why is it I understand that it's important that everyone should get the training, but why are you specifying that it's really important that he gets it? And they said, oh, because he just does whatever he wants, and he just takes things to the limit. And they were being very careful with their words, but they were implying that he's very reckless. He just does his job poorly, and he doesn't take it seriously. And it's a job where you have to take it very seriously because it's pretty dangerous what they're doing. And I thought that was interesting because the other black people that I've worked with in that same department that he's in are very knowledgeable. They're very professional, very easy to work with, and I've learned a lot from them. And I have learned nothing from this person. He does seem to watch a lot of TV most of the time. So I just thought it was really, really interesting that they seem to not want to be direct about how he's incompetent at his job, and he's the only white person in that department. The last thing I wanted to talk about was a situation with my offspring, Z. So this is a school situation. So last year, she won I would say prestigious award. It was about, she had to research important topic, and then she had to she had to research a specific topic and discuss it. And so this year, she was the first person in her school to get that award, and it's an award that's countrywide. So she won an award for it, for the research that she did. This year, they're doing that same project again. It's countrywide, and this white male has been harassing her about how he's going to get the award this year, and he's going to beat her. And mind you, like, Z is not competitive in that manner. She just cared about her topic. Her first topic was about drug overdoses, and she just wanted to talk about it. And she was surprised that she won the award, even though she did work really hard, because there was a lot of good competition. And so this year he's been talking about it nonstop, talking about how he's going to beat her, even though it should really be about the journalism and the research that you're doing. And so eventually she submitted the award, she submitted the project, and even her teacher said, he felt like it was very likely that they would win, because he was very impressed that this year her work was even better than last year's. So we found out that she didn't win, and of course the white male who was taunting her did win, and he was gloating about it and very arrogant about it. And luckily, we've talked about the system, so she was very upset, which is unfortunate, because I think he psychologically manipulated her, because obviously winning the award would be nice, but it's not something that she obsessed over until he kept bringing it up and making it a competition versus just, an opportunity to do a lot of research and maybe get recognition for it, or maybe not, that's fine. And so she called me about it and was really disappointed and talking about how much she was gloating about it. And I just want to reiterate that she's the first person in the school to win this award. It's countrywide. And so the next day she comes into school, and the teacher pulls up on the screen a newspaper article that discusses how this white male is the first person in their city to win this award. Mind you, they just got the award yesterday, and there's already a newspaper article about it and how he's the first. And she called me, and she was really dismayed, because she was like, well, that doesn't make sense, because I was the first person to get this award, and it's not even something she cares about. But she's like, I didn't even know you could get this in a newspaper. And I said, well, if you're a white person and you know people who work for the newspaper, you can tell them. And I'm sure he told people that he knew, and his parents told them, oh, my son won this award, can you do a profile on him? And so he was in the newspaper, and now he's getting shown in front of class, in front of everyone. And I think she's handling it with a lot of grace, and that she just congratulated him and is not discussing it anymore. She talks about it with me, but I guess, I've experienced a lot of racism, and I know that she's experienced racism, but seeing that happen to my offspring is very frustrating. And I know it's not it's not a big, it's not something that's debilitating or going to cause any issues in her life, but it is just frustrating to see that happen to your offspring, and to know that, this is kind of the future that she should expect, unfortunately, that she's not going to get recognition for the hard work that she does. And I told her, you should find the article, send it to me, because I will call the newspaper and tell them that they need to retract it, because that's incorrect, because she won the year before. I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry if I sounded a little, it just makes me very emotional to see a Black child just experience that kind of Yeah, that's all I want to say. Sorry. I'll mute.
No apologies. Being a parent, most difficult job in the known universe. Just a quick rewind before you mute. For the black people on your job, when you all convened and you all were going to have important training, that big S word again, safety, and you said it seemed like the black people, victims of racism, were being very careful in choosing their words. They didn't want to just come out and say, we got this lame, lazy, incompetent, unsafe, reckless white dude. Said, well, I don't know, that Bob, he just kind of does whatever he wants. And left it, which, hey, bravo, that's kind of, you don't want to just be going out there, what they call bad-mouthing a white person on the job, or even a non-white person. That might be gossiping, but I would not recommend doing that. Do you think their conduct would have been different in terms of would they have been more direct, would they have had more to say if this were a non-white person who engaged in these same sort of reckless behaviors in the workplace?
My apologies. I think because I was speaking quickly, I might have caused some confusion. The people who were being very careful with their words were actually the white bosses of that department. They were the ones who were saying, who didn't want to say that he was actually incompetent and reckless.
Awesome. Glad I asked. Were there black people present at that meeting at all, or it was just the white bosses?
Yeah, there was one other, and he was the one who runs that department that that white person is in. He's a black male, and he didn't say anything. But he looked like he wanted to say something, but he didn't.
Woo! That double whammy. Good way. I didn't hear it correctly. The white people picking their words carefully. We're not going to snitch on our white. Now, see, when we started at the Veterans Association, they said they are encouraged to rat on other employees. Like, did she got some DEI? Did she got that rainbow or Black Lives Matter? You rat on them now. You rat on them if they now we get here and this is not, I don't like his political leanings, or maybe he had a Michelle Obama t-shirt on. I don't like, this is, hey, Bob engages in reckless behavior. Bob is unsafe. Well, Bob just does whatever he wants. Bob, but she kept emphasizing, she had to ask, why you keep saying that Bob needs it? Well, Bob is special. I said, now, if that had been Leroy, wait a minute, if that had been Sam, I think everybody would have had a lot more to say if Sam had just skipped out on the meeting and, whatever. I'm going on. What in the world? And see, only white people can get on a job. I just do whatever the hell I want. We not supposed to curse on the job? Well, filth, florin, filth. How about that? I do whatever I want to. Maybe I wear my seatbelt. I drink a little liquor when I want to. I talk, randy to these females around here, which she said they do that. Remember, she said the white fella came in. He said, I only like to mentor the females that, attractive, that gets me aroused and motivated. I can't do it. And I'm not even being serious. That's what she said. That's what he said. Whew, man, to be a white man, do whatever you want. You can be a white woman and do it too. You do whatever you want. I get a reputation for being reckless, and they don't even fire me. They schedule training. I don't even go. White man. Woo! Let's see. Let me rewind. So before we got to all that, she said, which I thought was an important point, interview for the skill of it. That is such a great point. It is a skill set to develop. And if you are fortunate enough to, kind of maintain employment for a period of time, yeah, you might, just like anything else. If you don't ride a bicycle for 3 or 4 years, you might be a little wobbly when you hop back on. Same thing if you haven't done an interview. So that is a great point. Maybe even take interview for some jobs that you don't necessarily want, because you can always decline just to, okay, these are the types of questions. And especially if it's been a long time since you've interviewed, what types of questions are being asked? If you think you might want to switch career fields, absolutely, just to get a sense of the types of questions. So then you'll know, okay, this is what I would say next time. I would do this, not do that. This is a question I would ask next time. You can do all that when the stakes aren't as high. Great suggestion. Z's mommy, her view in terms of affordability is, can I afford to live where I work? Also, great point, because we've heard so much of that. I think she specifically mentioned that, being in the wonderful area of Southern California, saying, dang, trying to be an educator down here, whew, you might be living in your car. That right there would be a metric now. Is this an affordable wage? Probably not. And that would be the case for probably everybody working in Southern California, except Mel Gibson. Let's see. The working 12 to 14-hour days, learning a lot. Wow, that is a long time to be at work, which is why I say neutralizing workplace racism, or just having counter-racism strategies and understanding for the workplace is so important, because that's the whole day. By the time you drive, get home or whatever, and can wash your face and get a Brussels sprout in your mouth, that's the whole day. I mean, man, and to be around folks that are practicing racism and being reckless and unsafe, yes, it is mandatory to have a better understanding of the dynamics and racism in this environment, and things we should do, things we should not do. Why am I having to work 12, 14-hour days? Seems like a good chunk of this is compensating for some lazy, incompetent race soldier who was not doing things correctly to begin with. We hear this all the time. All the time. Now, again, how do these incompetent white people keep getting all these jobs that are not the tater tot jobs, not the chicken nugget jobs? How do these folks, remember she had told us before, the white fella who would come in, he'd wear Pop Smoke paraphernalia, put his feet up on the desk, I'm just chilling. How do all these folks keep getting these jobs? What does it mean to be white? And the same dynamic. You get all these shiftless white people, and then the non-white people. Sometimes they don't even, it's not like they get fired or transferred or whatever. Sometimes they're right down the hall. We end up having to do all this work to compensate for them, or covering up for all the nonsense that they didn't do or messed up. Tons of that's what I said, have to figure out, some strategies to try to combat that too, as best we can. And they lie. White people lie all the time. Now, as opposed to just saying, yeah, we hired this incompetent, lazy white fella, they'll make up some lie in terms of why we have to go in and do all this work and repair everything that Ted messed up. Oh, you just mean Ted is incompetent? No. Just got to make a few adjustments. Come on. The equipment, she says now, white people are what I just said. White people lie. And then white people, just because I'm white, it's what I say. And that'll just be that. Now they're talking about this piece of equipment. She says the white fella tells her is adamant it's not going to work. Z's mommy has gone through her training. I know it does work. She questioned. That's what I said. Don't argue. This is not going to be back and forth. And I learned and I got it on page. How do you know this piece of equipment does not work? Question, and let's see. Now, what is all this based on? Why do you think this way? Oh, Ted said it doesn't work. Ted, who should have been fired, Ted? Ted, the reason that we have to work 14-hour days to correct all that he messed up, Ted? Man, and see, white people just tell black people, and I even have to retract that. Sorry, gang. Sorry. Everybody just tells black people anything. Anything. Like, woo. It's almost to the point of, hey, look here, Sam. 2 + 2 is 5,025. Real. That's what it is, Sam. Write that down. Like, what? I got a calculator in my pocket. I did pass first grade, but I do have a calculator in my pocket. They will just tell black people anything. Equipment doesn't. Now, that might have been a pivotal part of the project. I don't know. I can't even spell engineer, but that equipment might have been pivotal to what needed to get done. No. See, that don't even work. Now, what if she had been, I'm going to just listen to this white man. He knows, Billy, he said it doesn't. No ask, no question, no, wait a minute. I went through, that's not what they said in training. And so many of us, that's how we get conditioned. The white man said that 2 + 2 is 5,243. So that's what it is. That's how we have been really beaten and terrorized. You had better accept and say that 2 + 2 is 5,243 every time. Sometimes that's the black self-respect right there. That just ask, hey, how do you know that this piece of equipment doesn't work? And that's all right there. That's everything. Once you get that, whole argument is done. He can think he won. Nigger woman that questioned me. Teddy done told you it doesn't work with it. Shut up, dumb old nigger woman. And that's all you have to say. In fact, even if he said that out loud, dumb old nigger woman, I told you, Teddy said the part doesn't work. At maximum, I might ask, could you repeat that so I can write that down? Dumb old nigger woman, Teddy, who should have been fired, told you it doesn't work. March 13, 2025, date, time, and go get that piece and complete the project. Britt, that's sometimes you just ask a question. That stops everything, because we could have went back and forth about this part. We could have wasted the whole day. Came in and started the argument again tomorrow. It does work. It doesn't work. How do you know this? Oh. Thank you. We can stop all this. Moving on with my day. Let's see. The white fella doesn't come to the training. Talked about that. Incidentally, I seriously suspect if that had been Sam, like I said, and he had blown off that training, and he had a reputation for being reckless. Maybe he broke some equipment before, whatever else. Maybe he injured somebody. Who knows? I seriously suspect Sam would have been fired if, what? He's not here. Where's Sam at? Out shooting dice? What? Like, oh my God. Sam's not going to have a job. Sam wouldn't have had a job to begin with. Like, how do you have a reputation for being reckless for like a serious job? Again, this is not Hardee's, Jack in the Box. Let's see. Man, now we can get to Z. man, who has been a guest on the C.O.W.S repeatedly. Check the archives, her COVID experience, all the rest of it. Golden Corral, like, man. So she wins prestigious award. Doesn't seem like, doesn't even seem like that was the goal of it, to win this prize or what have you, was to go out and do great work and on drug overdoses. That would be fitting for California. Maybe she did some research on how recreational cannabis plays into all this. Don't know. But bravo for her. She wins amazing award, and first time. Spectacular, doing spectacular things just like her mom, using her brain computer. That's what we need to solve this problem. Now, white men, in fact, this is such great illustration for the workplace. Why I say all the time, it can be so confusing. You don't have Z's mommy, as a parent, attempted to be sharing constructive information after battling through 14-hour days, sharing constructive information and vegan food and trying to inform you honestly. We're in a system of white supremacy racism, so that you understand what it is, how it works. This sort of thing happens. You can come home and talk about it, all the rest of it. But I mean, hey, this is the workplace all the time where you come in. In fact, Z's mom could have told her, oh, they do that to me all the time. Once they find out that I don't have a GED and all the rest of it, oh my God. Ooh. 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 Hate competent niggras. Another one we've talked about all the time. Because you would think this would be something celebratory, like, man, even if we are going to be competitive about it, like, man, you did such great work last year, Z. Man, this year, I'm going to do better, man. I know you got something. I'm going to get you. Man, let's see. We're going to see who come out. We're going to see who come out. I know you got it last year. That was, man, I'm going to give it to you. You did it last year, but I'm telling you, I'm going to come up with something good this year. Bravo. We could have made friendly, constructive, academic competition. I have seen that. Bravo if you win. Bravo if I win. Maybe we go out and celebrate together after it's over. Nah. That's not what this is. This is total racism. And in fact, I have experienced this. Not that I'm, intelligent. I didn't win no prizes, nothing like Z. I'm not that intelligent. But when you don't even know it's a competition. I was in California, in fact. We went to take little raggedy exam, C.O.W.S, just so you can do substitute teaching. Go to take these. It's just a couple of hours. You pay a few dollars just so you can go and get on the substitute list, way that you can make money on the side, as not chicken nugget, and then you can pick your schedule if you just want to work one day a month or, a couple days a week, whatever. But that would be an option. We go to take the test on a Saturday. Finish. You get the scores like a month later, something. I don't know. So we get the scores, and we get them at the same time. Obviously, we took them at the same time. So we go, oh, let's, see if you passed the test. Oh, okay. Now, I did not care about, it was a pass, fail type thing. I did not think it was you got to get a perfect score, and we're going to frame it, and they're going to put your name in the newspaper. You don't get any money, nothing. Did you pass? Great. You can go. Now you can be a sub. That was it. That's the whole goal of this. So, and I'm just going to make up a number. So let's say I got a passing score of 12. This white woman got a passing score of 10. Just make up random numbers for sake of argument. But we both passed. That's the important. That's really all that matters. We both passed. Man, she wigged out. Now, she had prefaced this, I bet I'm going to beat you. I bet I'm going to beat you. Ooh, I'm going to. Now, I didn't even know it was a competition. Like, really? Like, not even a friendly one, too. Like, ooh, I'm going to beat you. Ooh, I'm going to beat you. Ooh, I'm going to. So now we get the envelopes, open them up. Oh, okay, you passed. Okay, pass. Woohoo. All right, we can both go substitute. No. What did you get? What? 12? What? 12? Did you? What? Oh, I cannot believe this. This nigger got a 12. He beat me by 2. Did you cheat? You cheated, didn't you? You had the. We go to a party. I'm super confused about white supremacy, racism, and I don't care about the test. We go to a party. They have alcoholic beverages. I get a glass of wine. She is not talking, hey, there's a cute fella. What's the DJ playing? They got any more liquor? Do you know this nigger beat me by 2 points on the test? I think he cheated. I think I'm going to ask for a recall. Even in my niggerized state, I thought, what is going on? We're at a party. We both passed. Why is this important to you? What does it mean to be white? This little race soldier remembered from a year ago. You know I'm going to beat you. You're not going to win this year, nigger. Oh, I'm going to beat you, for sure. That old raggedy. Nah, not happening this time. Like, what? What does it mean to be white? Now, as all this unfolded, knowing what I know about, and particularly with the newspaper part of it, woo! White people lie and cheat like no other. Oh, I totally suspect this is just like what Z's mommy just said. This little race soldier probably got homies, relatives, all that cronyism and nepotism where his aunts, uncles, grandpa might own the newspaper in the town, have his cousins and brothers, sisters, dad on staff and all that. His grandpa might be the school superintendent. Grandma might be the principal. They might have already known. Yeah, look here, nigger gal, that's not going to happen this year. Willie going to win this year, and we know Willie's going to win it. She said, I was already thinking this before we got to the newspaper part. Why would you think that way, Gus? Well, Varsity Blues. In the archives, if you don't know what that is, you can, search it, all that. But that would be one on a mass scale. Now, I could also go personal on this one. When the cows started, I was talking to a white woman. She was a University of Washington student. There's a group of us. We were talking about academic experiences. Now, this white wench had the audacity. She was talking about a black female who she went to high school with, and she said that this black female had got accepted to college, and somehow she got an F in a history class. I don't know, she wasn't doing the work or didn't come or whatever. Anyway, she got an F in this class, and so it was going to jeopardize whether or not she was going to be able to matriculate to college. And so it was a big controversy, and so apparently the faculty was kind of pressuring her white history male teacher to give her like a D, just pass her so that she can move on, go to college, get on with her life. It was like, what? I'm not giving out no grade and have some academic integrity. And she didn't do the work, and this nigger gal, I'm giving her that. And they pressured him, made him give her a passing grade, and he was so upset about this. And she said, see there? Now she brings this up in a conversation of racism. Say, see, it's not always black and white. It's different layers. And, sometimes the racism thing, it doesn't always work out for whitey. I said, now, pause. White chick, wench, you have been kicking in with us for a while, because she was really good friends with this non-white female who used to call into the cows and all the rest of it. I said, did you tell us that in high school, when you were applying for college, the principal, not the teacher, not the guidance counselor, not the custodian, not the cafeteria worker, the principal volunteered to write your college application? Yeah, that did happen. White racist wench, back up off me with all that about, oh, this black female got over and, ooh, the principal was gonna volunteered to write your college application, and you say, wink, wink, you didn't take her up. Man, back up off me. That's what I was thinking way before we even got to the newspaper. Then she said it was in the newspaper the next day. Man, I have worked as a journalist, not just doing this podcast. You can check my resume. I've made thousands of dollars writing and publishing articles as a journalist. Generally speaking, I mean, unless it's like 911, Dodgers won the championship, it's got to be something really serious. Department of Education is going to be closed down in one day. Not even one day. He gets the award, and we got this in the paper the next day. It didn't even take 24 hours. Nah. Like, we had this planned way, maybe last year, from the time that nigga woman won. Like, what? What? The first person to win is some nigga. And because they put a lie in the paper. Master deceivers. They could have just went, hey, Billy won the award and let's give him a hand. He did phenomenal work and he's showing, hey, California is doing it. Get on out here, Elon Musk. We got the next generation of the best. No. They got to put the lie, the first ever in the city. She said it was just last year. It wasn't ancient history. It's probably most of the same people working at the newspaper that were there last year. That we're going to make, and in fact, we're going to make sure we erase nigga woman, it didn't even happen. Because Billy is the first person to win it from here. But it says in the paper, Billy is the first person to win the award. In the paper. Probably with his picture there. Master. And probably I am influenced in my thinking with that paper part. I just heard. I have to give you the author's name because it's a black author. I wasn't prepared to talk about that. I didn't know she was going to give me the anecdote with Z there. But, woo! It was a black dude who was just here who wrote a book about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black Wall Street, so-called. He was just here in Seattle, Washington for so-called Black History Month, and he gave a presentation. He wrote a book about this as well. But the core part of the book and the presentation is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Neely Fuller Jr., born in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and he said, I didn't know nothing about Tulsa. Black author who wrote this book said, when he went to Tulsa to write this book, he went to get the newspaper, a local Tulsa newspaper. The article about the Tulsa massacre was ripped out of the paper. In fact, when you go to pull up the digital archive, it's still ripped out of the paper. Like it didn't even happen. That was a massive part of his talk. That was just a couple days ago. But that's master, so you got it both ways. If something's in the paper that we say is a lie, we just go rip up the whole paper. And that's in James Lowen's book, Sundown Towns, repeatedly, where white people did that. It's in the paper? No, it's not. Now it's not even there. Or we just go put the lie in the paper. Hey, Billy is the first person ever to win this award from this town. Wow. I thought a nigger guy went, Billy is the first person to win this award. So now when you go, like when she asked, where did you get this information from? It'll be, well, Todd said it. This time it was in the paper. Now, what are you going to say about that? Do you have a newspaper article for your little nigger gal winning the award? No. Well, then. You're just making up some old Negro rumors and whatever. You save that for Black History Month when you all talk about peanuts and all that stuff. Whew. That is amazing. Wow. I mean, woo. Wow. I don't even know. What I would say, I don't know if you thought that or if you believe that, but I totally think all of this was orchestrated, like maybe from the time that she won this award last year. And even with the lie, I'm so glad to hear, I think she said that she was going to do a correction, because newspapers are supposed to do that. Corrections, if they print something that is not true, it's supposed to be as soon as possible, as soon as they have been alerted to this. Correction. I would even maybe say, hey, Z, maybe you should contact the newspaper and have them do the correction. And in fact, maybe compensatory investment request, they should do a report on Z. I was the first one to win this. I got the proof and all the rest of it. I mean, hey, let's get me in the newspaper so we have a correct record. Humble suggestion. But either way, correction should be made. Because that is standard. You'll see New York Times, Chicago Tribune, any journalist outfit, if they print something that is an error, they will do a correction, digital, and then they'll do, in the print version, they'll have something to, we messed up, mea culpa. Let them know. But that is, wow, that is stunning. I would definitely sit and at least share that Gus T, she's been on the program, Gus T thinks this was planned and executed way in advance. That little white fella might have homies at the newspaper, at the school, throughout the town to make sure that they knew, yeah, exactly what he had been saying. I'm going to beat you this year. We decided it last year. That's not funny, but I mean, that is the system of white supremacy. Yeah, I'm going to beat you this year, nigga gal, and we decided last year. Whew. Incredible. Much obliged, Z's mommy. Much obliged. Still, congratulations to Z for phenomenal work. Even that's like the whole, like, counter to the whole fabric of learning. Like, it's not supposed to be so I can gloat and tease my peers and you big dummy, that old, you don't even know how to do nothing. See what I did? You old stupid, y'all don't know how to do none of you old lames and look. That's like, what? That system of white supremacy. Even in a classroom, I'm here to mock and tease full of that royalist system. Splash mud on people. Get out of here, you ignorant, stupid, you heathens and ignoramuses. You don't know nothing. I'm the champion of see? And cheated the whole time. I know everything about this. That white dude cheated, and cheated. He might not have even done a rebuttal. I would love to see the newspaper article about what did he do exactly that won all this. I'm sure it's layers of cheating. We decided last year he was going to do the report. Maybe he got Bill Gates to come in and do the project. Like, woo! It's probably so much cheating around that, like, they could write a whole book about it. Maybe they will write a whole book about it down the road. Man. Thank you kindly for sharing, Z's mom. Get my composure back together. And Z, much obliged. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Being an attempted parent, most difficult job in the known universe. Not even close. Let's see. Oh man. Tumbling dice with us as well from the school bus. If you have commentary, proceed.
Hi, good evening, Gus. I got two issues. I'm going to tell you about what happened to me. Well, the first issue was about a year ago, I think. The Race Solidaire had written me up said that I was uncivilized. I had uncivil conduct towards the supervisor when I was just asking the supervisor for directions. And he had written me up, and in the write-up, he put that my conduct, behavior, and my decorum is uncivilized. So I kept that write-up on file. So when the supervisor came to me the other day and wanted me to do some work that I never done before. So I told him, I said, just like Mr. Fuller said, I said, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? And why you want me to do it? And what you think the best constructive result will be. And he asked me, well, why are you asking me all these questions? And I said, just like Mr. Fuller, how many questions is too much question? And then he said, well, why are you asking me this? I said, well, I'm following this because the race soldier that wrote me up, he wrote in the write-up that I am uncivilized. So now if I am uncivilized in his mind, now you gotta train me and show me everything. Now because now I'm an uncivilized black man. So now you have to train me because per the race solely, I am uncivilized. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a functional illiterate. So now you got to train me. So he ran back with it to the race solely, and he told the race solely what I said. So I got called into HR. So they asked me why am I making improper comments. I said, no, I did not make no improper comments. I said, this man wanted me to do stuff that I've never done before. And I told him, I told him, I will do whatever you want me to do. I'm not being insubordinate, but I want to know, I wanted to know what he wanted me to do, why he wanted me to do it, and how he wanted me to do it, and what the most constructive result will be. Because per the write-up, and I showed them the write-up, I have it in my hand, I said, this white man wrote me up. He said that, I said, there's facts, and I told the lady to follow the logic. I said, number one, I'm black. Number two, he wrote me up. He wrote this document. He had his signature on this document. And three, he said that I am uncivil. He accused me of uncivil behavior and uncivilized decorum. So that means I'm uncivilized. So that means if I'm uncivilized, now I need to be retrained. I need him to train me. So whenever they ask me for anything, now I tell them, you have to train me. You have to train me. You have to do everything to show me now because this man said I'm uncivilized. And they just hate that. They don't like when I say that. But I have the document. I told the HR lady, I have everything here. So now follow the logic. This is what the man said. And these are facts I put. So that was the one issue I dealt with this week. And then a couple of weeks ago, me and another bus driver, we worked at the same location. And we were taking our break in the leads office. So I guess overnight they had a break-in. So they accused me and the other bus driver. They said there was some radio missing and some raincoat. So they instantly accused me, of course, and the other driver of taking the stuff, the walkie-talkie radio. Now, I don't have no need for a walkie-talkie radio. The only radio I have in my house is a shortwave radio, and that's, so in case I have an emergency. So they went and they called the police, and again, the race soldier said, well, the police need to talk to you. I told him, I said, well, I am not going to talk. I'm not going to talk to nobody unless my union rep is here. Now, if the police need to talk to me, I'm going to assert my Fifth Amendment right to self-incrimination, and I'm going to assert the Sixth Amendment right that I will only talk unless my attorney is here. And I remember you saying over your broadcast that, and no one is allowed to search my person or my car. So when I told them that, I told the other victim, I said, man, don't consent to anything with these people. I said, they have cameras. They see us coming out of that office. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have no radio, and we didn't take no bags in there, so they didn't see us leaving or taking anything from that. So I said, don't worry, they have the cameras there. So, but assert your right. So the victim did the same thing, and they left us alone. So that were my two issues I've had. You know, that's what I've been going through. But I just got back from a field trip. They said somebody called in on media today saying that I was doing 85 miles per hour in 45 miles. Now, with those school buses, there's no way you could do 85 because those things are governed to go only a certain speed, which in school bus, only 55 you could go. So to go 85, that's ludicrous, you know what I'm saying? So those are the issues I've been going through, Gus. So, but it's good to tell other victims on the show, assert your rights. Whenever they accuse you of anything, just assert your rights, and all your write-ups that you get that say that they say you're incompetent or you're uncivilized, you can always use that to say, well, okay, well, since this is what you think of me, then you have to train me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's all I have for now, Gus, and thanks for letting me share. Thanks again.
Woo. Privileged black male. Is my memory bad? Did they accuse you of stealing a weed whacker not too long ago, and they were going to go through your personal vehicle and examine it?
Yes, they did. Thanks for reminding me of that. Yes, it did.
Okay.
Luckily, I had the receipt in my car, man.
I thought that I was just trying to make sure I wasn't making that up. I don't want to be lying on people and, saying that they didn't accuse you of stealing a weed whacker when they didn't. But I thought that did happen. I mean, hey, now, once you have been, now, President Bush told us, you get fooled once, shame on you. Get fooled twice. You get fooled once, can't get fooled again. See? You get accused of stealing the weed whacker once, I already get my code. Now, you're not going to, next time the weed whacker comes up missing, now, you're not going to get me every time. I already got my code together. No, I'm not going to talk to the police, and we've already done it. Yeah. The weed, I know, yeah, everybody loved the weed whacker. It was great and brand new. Yeah, no, you cannot. I do not consent to searches of my vehicle, person, house, for the weed whacker, the radio, the raincoat, the cocaine, the vintage Rick James LPs. I don't care what has gone missing. No. I am not emptying my pockets. I'm not opening up my trunk. We're not doing any of that. And same thing, you all have video on the premises. You know where all that, and I mean, really, it's almost at the point where if the property is really valuable, they got all those tags and GPS on it. They got that. You can get those cheap now. You can put those on your keys, man. If you, get forgetful and can't keep up with that, okay, they're right. They're like, come on. if the weed whacker or whatever else that you say is valuable, you probably got a chip in it so you know where it is. Like, and you got video of all of us. So in fact, that is just as suspicious as little Billy bragging for, yeah, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. And then he does win, and they put it in the newspaper with a lie the next day in less than 24 hours. Why do you all keep coming up with all these reasons why you need to rifle through my pockets and go through my vehicle? Like, what in the world? That right there, that is, don't you be coming and telling me that white people are ignorant about racism and ignorant about niggras. They are not. They are snooping and, what you doing? What time did you get here? What's that? What you got in your pocket? What you got in your car? What you got in your trunk? Let me see. Take your shoes off. Let me check. What? That's all day long. All day long. Even little Billy at the school. I'm going to beat you, Z. That's all you've been doing for a year is thinking about me and this tacky project. You don't have a PlayStation? You don't have an iPhone? That is what it means to be white. And the lying, same way they lie in the newspaper and everything else, they know, we know this nigger did not steal no weed whacker. They know that. They probably knew that he got the receipt and, you know, whatever. Our cousin hopefully sold him a bum weed whacker and he'll have to take it back 15 times for damages and repairs and all, and his lawn will be tacky too. Now, they know he didn't steal the weed whacker. They know he didn't steal the radio or whatever else has allegedly come up missing. They already know this. One, I said this for years, they love the wasting time and chimp out. Maybe he'll get in here and get the cursing and all, and then we can fire him. Thank God. Wanted to get rid of him a long time ago. They love it. That's why I say that keeping your composure is number one. You have to expect, we non-white people, you just have to expect this sort of thing to happen. Super duper tacky, whether it's Z, that age, you just have to expect these types of events to happen. Be falsely accused of, you know, whatever. Stealing the whole company. They say you embezzled $1 million from the company. Stole our pension funds and everything. We need to go through your bank account. What? I need my union representative, and I do not consent to any searches without a warrant. Phone, banking records, all that. Phone might be another one, so you have to put that in there too. Phone, property, vehicle, house. I'm not consenting to any searches. Bravo. I guess that's bravo for black self-respect, because he could have just represented for himself, privileged black male tumbling dice, but he actually reached out to tell his coworker, who was being, I guess, accused also of stealing the radios. Maybe they accused him previously of stealing weed whackers too. I don't know. But to tell him, hey man, do not consent to any searches of anything that is a violation of your constitutional rights. And hey, at the end of all this, forget it. They have video. They can keep up with their property. They know where the radios are or whatever else they're saying has been stolen. Like, no, man, don't consent to any of this. And apparently they took him up on it. That sounds pretty good, brother. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I don't consent to any of this. they left them. Bravo. But he could have just, kept that to himself and, whatever. Sam, you fend for yourself on this one. I'm going to do my thing and we're going to be united independent. He could have done it that way. Black self-respect for looking out for another black male. But that, I have every time, it's not one time that I can think of where myself and or other non-white people, victims of racism, where they have declined a search of their property, person, house, phone, whatever. It has worked out constructively. Like I can even only think of one report that I read in the news. It was a black male in a vehicle. The police stopped him and they were going to search his vehicle, and he said correctly, I do not consent to searches of my vehicle without a warrant. And they said, whatever, nigger, and they threw him out of the way and searched it anyway. That case went to court and they threw out the charges for exactly, they didn't have a warrant. He didn't consent to the search. That is an I was going to say unlawful, which it is, but that is an unconstitutional search, and they threw out everything. And I think he might have had something nefarious in the vehicle, drugs or whatever, but it became just that, whatever, because it was not a constitutional search. It wasn't something that you could readily see. They didn't have justification for going through the vehicle. So I'm not aware of any situation where that has worked out poorly. And again, you're not yelling. I didn't hear Tumbling Dice say that he was cursing at them, like, you're not going through my filth foreign vehicle, and who do you MFs think you are? No, I do not. Calm. That's it. Composure. Stay calm. I do not consent to any searches of my person, vehicle, property, in case you got a backpack or whatever, without a warrant. And I'm not talking to enforcement officials. Look at that. I got to talk over a weed whacker? A radio? Not that we should be stealing any of these. Man, come on. You've got wasting time and energy. And white people on the job, they love these sort of like public humiliations. They can drag you, fire you in front of everybody and get a cardboard box and walk you out in shame and take you in front of all the other employees. You know, Leroy might have been stealing lunch boxes, they say, and embarrass you and have everybody. Leroy stealing lunch boxes? Really? Oh, we in talking to the police, right? Oh, Leroy was stealing lunch boxes. That sort of nonsense. And no. I do not consent to any of that. I have nothing to say. If you work a job, you have a union representative, let's get them present. All the rest of it. But I mean, that is what to expect. Cannot say that enough. That's why I suggest getting to work like 15 minutes early. You can't be early, be on time. But get to work early so that you can already have that in your brain computer. Anything might happen. They might accuse me of raping a white woman. They might accuse me of raping a white man, stealing a weed whacker, stealing a bus. Who knows? Like, I'm already going to get in my brain computer. Okay, this will be my response. They say this, I will do this. They ask me to do this, I will do this. Already got phone is charged up if I need to take any notes, record anything. Boom, I'm ready for my already. If you need, just Dr. Welsing, keep my composure. They might say anything, so stay composed. If I need to take a break, get some breaths in, go to the restroom. Whew. Okay, ready to hit the plantation. Day of racism in store for me. Same thing. He says, the white fella comes and says, look here, Tumbling Dice, need you come over here and do X, Y, Z. He says, whoa, I've never even done this before. It was on YouTube literally this morning. It was a black male. He was a temp worker. You know, when you go to the agencies and like you go early in the morning and they send you out for a 1 day of work and you can come back and get paid at the end of the day. As a black male, of course, privileged, of course, he goes out, first day, brand new work site, and they ask him to go, like, I think some glass had fell off, some pallets or what have you, and they ask him to get down and sweep all the glass out from underneath the machine. So it's black male, temp worker. He's trying to impress white people. So maybe they'll keep him on, hire him as a full-time worker. So he gets under, is sweeping out the glass. The machine somehow gets turned on, and so like I think a 2,000-pound pallet drops down on him, crushes old Leroy. He dies. On a day laborer on the job. Now, I didn't even see a report if it was a mass payout and all that, because a lot of times for those day laborers, they make you sign paperwork and such that you can't sue if you get injured. So I suspect his family, I don't even know, if they would have got a massive payout and, all the rest of it, it might have went to the day laborer. Anyway, and he's still dead. Even if they did get $1 billion, he's still dead. But when they investigated all this and they said, man, you got the person to go and do all this dangerous work is the person with the least seniority of anybody there, and the least training of anybody there, and doesn't even have direct insurance. You go get the day laborer and tell them to do it? Jesus, man, they've never even been in this facility before. Why would you get them to do it? In addition to a whole lot of other safety failures, but man, they go snatch you on a job, if it's a white person or a non-white person, to do something that you have never done before, even if it's parallel parking. Whoa, let's slow down. Training. Lots of questions. How am I supposed, and no one should have a problem with that at all. Why? I've never done this before. Don't you want this done safely? Another question. That's if they get huffy about any. I told you I use that word safety all the time. And I would dare somebody who has a problem with making sure we are safe in the workplace. Who opposes safety in the workplace? Stand up. Let's identify them right now. You all should have special demarcation on your badge or something so we can pick you out immediately. They said the fella, Z's mommy told us, oh man, old Ross, whoo, he is reckless. He just do whatever he want to. My goodness. Put that on that's unsafe. Got to keep an eye on you. But that's not supposed to be the case. Now I said, system of white supremacy is inherently unsafe. Smacking around niggers is not safe. That's what this is all about. That's what we've been talking about. In the workplace, though, you're at least supposed to lie and pretend for 12 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is, we're going to be safe. Wink, wink. We have to, as best we can from a weak position, try to hold them to that. Hey, we're supposed to at least act like we're safe in the workplace for these 8-10 hours here. Why am I being asked to do something potentially hazardous where I haven't been trained for it? I've never even done this before. Let me at least ask some questions so I can make sure that I'm doing this in a safe manner. And anybody starts getting huffy about that would make me back up even more. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Seeming like you don't want me to do this safely. Like that also is suspicious. Why do we have to be reckless about doing this the first time? Another question. And he said they got upset about that. Went and wrote him up saying he was making inappropriate comments. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was asking questions, not making comments. I wanted to do the job safely. Are we opposed to asking questions on the job? Are we opposed to safety? Oh, okay. Get back. So what did I do incorrect? Another question. Question. Take everything white where it needs to go, especially around safety. Like, you have got to be. These folks have a pattern, because he pointed that out previously, saying, man, we're supposed to be busing children. The little people, man. Whitney told us, I believe the children. Z. That's our future. Whatever, nigger. You and Whitney. That's you and Whitney. Whatever, niggers. We don't believe in no safety for children. That's tumbling dice. That's what he told us about. That's what he was calling it initially, where some of these problems started. Like, hey, man, y'all aren't even following safety regulations to keep these tykes safe. Shut up, nigger. Wait a minute. Don't you care about the children? Shut up, nigger. We already told you. Shut up, nigger. Now, you take that, him pointing out you being unsafe, and they tell him, shut up. Write him up, you uncivilized coon. You get some white person, or I don't know if it was a white person. Retract, my apologies, because I don't believe he can tell me to shut up, Gus, but I don't believe he said it was a white person who reported him. So I don't know if it was a white person. I suspect he doesn't either. Sorry. He was reported for allegedly driving the bus 85 miles per hour. As soon as I heard that, what? I didn't even know buses could go 85 miles an hour. I thought that he took it out of my brain computer, because I was thinking, I thought they had governors on them to restrict how fast they can go. Like, they can't go, but I think like 55 or whatever. I didn't even know they could go 65. Like, I've certainly never been on a yellow school bus that was going 65, 70 down the highway, and I've never seen one. So 85? Really? And then come on. Now, here again, what I said, expect this sort of behavior, especially if you're classified as black. Like, it could be anything. Nigger was smoking crack cocaine, and he was doing 100 miles an hour on a stolen bus while raping a white woman. Yeah, man. And then you can say the same thing that he'd been telling us from day one. Check the video. Beside the fact that you can't drive the bus 100 miles an hour, but whatever, just check the video. Do you see the crack or the rape or, you know? Yeah. Anyway, that's why you have to keep your composure. All of this is to be expected. And even like I said, a lot of this is for that exact purpose. So you'll wild. What, Phil Florence, you know I didn't steal no bus, go 85 miles an hour, raping no white woman. No. Stay calm. Let's see. Anything else? And using the document, love it. You ask those questions. I'm, big on safety, but I mean, hey, you all have said that I'm ignorant, uncouth, and uncivilized. Oh my God, you talk about question lane. What does that mean? I am like, oh my God. I mean, I'm going to have to get my pad out and write this down. Like, what does that mean? What do I need to do to be a civilized employee? And I'm going to write that one down. Like, oh man. Whew. Then, beautifully, I just whip out this document. Why are you asking all these questions? I'm trying to be a civilized employee. Now you're not going to be an uncivilized employee. Now, that worthless coon. Ooh, go pull out the review talking about he uncivilized. I'm trying to be. I hate that coon. They just switched C word and said he's civilized. You're not civilized, and you're just a coon. I'm trying to be civilized. Shut up, coon. Just shut up, coon. Just shut up. Civilized coon. Brilliant on the not consenting as well, because that, I don't know, I know we do have some non-white people who do not agree with that strategy. Victims guarantee qualified, you don't have to. And they said, they feel maybe intimidated or they can pressure you into doing these sort of things. All I can say is that is super duper dangerous to allow your coworkers and or the police to search your vehicle, property, phone, whatever, without a warrant. Worst thing, even if it's just you just have nosy white people who just want to rifle through your vehicle, see if you left any receipts from places that you shopped at, whatever they can find, go through your glove box, what you can hear, go through your trunk, what you got in here, even if it's just that. Not to mention, we left something in here, put this, man, under no I don't care what they said you stole. Produce a warrant. I do not consent to searches of my property, phone, person, vehicle. It might be a computer if you have your own computer device or what have you, without a warrant. And I would check sometimes when you get hired. We've had people as a condition of them being hired, if something happened, they would have to take a polygraph. If something, like people work for jobs with security clearance or whatever, if something happens, you are required to take a polygraph or whatever else to maintain employment of the job. If you don't do it, that could be grounds for termination. So I would make sure when you sign up for a job, if it's one of those where you're doing high security details, something like that, if there's a theft, police have to be called, criminal investigation, am I required to take a polygraph? Am I anything else, might be required if there's a criminal investigation, and I might be forfeiting my employment if I don't do it. That would be something that I would definitely want to highlight if that is a part of your agreement for employment, and that should be something that you should know, like when you sign on to the job, if that's something that you are signing up for, because we've had a few folks where that has been a condition of their employment. Much obliged, tumbling dice, privileged black male. Again, bravo. I guess that's 2 because he did look out for another black male, which he did not have to do. Bravo. And then the not consenting. That is outstanding. But now he should know now after the weed whacker, you already know. You don't know. I'm not showing you my receipt. I'm not showing you my weed whacker. Fool me once. Can't fool me. Can't get fooled again. Let's see. Non-Clemson dad, Mama C, double O Dimples with us as well. We all had commentary. Proceed.
Hello.
Your volume is quite low. If you can give us lots of black self-respect, non-Clemson dad.
Hello, can I be heard?
Much better.
All right, sorry about that. I was on my headset. I guess it's not working that great right now. I got a couple of things. I did hear the earlier stories about the economy, and to me, they were striking me as very interesting. Here's what I wrote about it. It's very interesting when comments about the economy are made, saying that the stock market is up or the country has the highest GDP. The metrics that are talked about for the economy do not represent actual people's lives. They are representations of the productivity of business. There's nothing in the statistics that account for things like people's inability to afford housing, healthcare, or groceries. This is why we live in the richest country in the world. Hello?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. We live in the richest country in the world, but we have record homelessness. When you hear low unemployment, it's because most people have stopped looking for a job. And when you're not looking for a job, you're not counted in the unemployment statistics. Let's see. Next thing, the job that I applied for. Is no one else hearing that echoing?
Oh, I did. I thought that was your line. Sorry about that. My fault. Sorry about that.
Cool. No worries. Let's see. The job that I applied for a little over a month ago, after much searching, they put the position on hold. I guess they're going to repost it whatever amount of time. I got an email saying that the position was put on hold. After interviewing Lord knows how many people, I don't know, I was not one of them. They put the position on hold. I guess every person that's applied for the position and the ones that interviewed, because I doubt not everyone interviewed, because I definitely didn't, simply didn't qualify, or they didn't have what they were looking for in that didn't have what they were looking for to be hired for the position. I remember having a conversation with my sister. One of the things she said was that a lot of these positions that they post, these upper management positions, the way the job descriptions, no one ever really matches the job descriptions. And these people that they really want for the job tend to be unicorns. They don't exist. And I guess when you measure regular people to it, aside the fact that these people, like myself, probably don't compare, good luck finding a person who qualifies. Good luck looking for a person who qualifies. Let's see what happens when they repost the position in a couple of months. Even though they notified me as one of the people that applied for the position, I don't think they'll be notifying me when they repost the position. Next thing, we went on a dance field trip this past Tuesday with a couple of our students, and one of the female students asked if she could kiss Double O Dimples. Mama C said no. Next story, when going to a photo shoot at a hotel, a white woman admitted that she was the social media manager, even though she had no social media experience, and she was getting paid $60,000 per year. And last story, a client came over covered in cat dander. I'm allergic to cats, so I was sneezing for the next day. Tufts of hair also were on her pants, and by the time she left, they were left all over the floor. We had to sweep it up. And they decided to buy more lessons because it was such a great experience in the intro lesson, which was very interesting. Going into the next lesson, we'll probably leave the windows open to mitigate the cat dander and help me keep from sneezing. And we'll probably go ahead and purchase an air purifier because that's been on our to-do list. But maybe we'll go ahead and buy the air purifier a little sooner now. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Is it, since they're allergies, and you all got the twofer, you all have allergies, and you have a very young child, they're very sensitive to all kinds of things, which I guess many people are aware of, maybe not all, but many people, I guess many parents would know this. Would it be incorrect to have one of those lint roller things so that would just be there and handy so she could remove some of the cat hair and such before you all do the dance lesson to kind of cut down on some of the leavings? Would that be rude?
That's a good question. We do have one of those types of brushes around here, though I haven't seen it in a while because we haven't used it. Our daughter, she, as far as we know, is not allergic to cats. Matter of fact, she absolutely loves them. Me personally, I have adult onset asthma, so some of this stuff has caught up to me as I've gotten older. It's not as bad as it used to be. If, for example, if I go into a friend's house, depending on the situation, I might have to leave the house with the cats there. I usually do that now. I imagine we've had clients that have come over and have had cats, but this was the first time in all our years, or ever for that matter, that we've had a situation where someone has come in and we can see the cat dander on their pants. She was wearing black pants. We could see it. We could see it after she had left us after the lesson, because my wife was sweeping it up. And then, of course, it made me sneeze for the next day. We had a lesson the next day, and I was still sneezing.
That is, allergies. I think that's, health that's legit. If I'm putting myself, if I was coming for a dance lesson or even just come and hang out and I had a cat and I had cat hair on my clothing and such, and they said, oh man, Non-Clemson Daddy's got those allergies and such. You mind just doing a quick roll? That'll, help him so he's not sneezing for the next week. Like, oh yeah, my fault. I don't think I would feel any type of way about that. Like, that would be pretty easy because that's like not even 5 minutes to just do a quick boop, 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 shake it off outside, and all right, maybe help cut down so you're not sneezing and all that. Like, I don't know, maybe see some other people, see what they think, if that would be off-putting or rude, or perhaps if someone classified as white might feel differently about that. I don't know, but it seems pretty. They have those anyway, right? People that want to look stylish, even if there's not a health concern, which is what is motivating this. So I don't know. The air filter, definitely. I'm a big fan of air filters. Regardless, I think that would be great investment to help keep everybody healthy and sneeze free. I guess with the position he had told us about, where he had even asked, what is the ideal candidate? I guess they said, well, we didn't find him, so we're shutting it down. Dang. And he couldn't even get an interview. They made up all these goofy reasons. We want someone who's got public transportation experience, all the rest of it. There might have even been some cronyism involved where they were looking for a specific white person to come and do the job, and that didn't work out. It's forget it. We'll just freeze the hiring and wait till Teddy's available again. Who knows? I love it. He said they went out, dance field trip, going out with their students, and obviously got 00 dimples in tow. Oh man, let me come and smooch on little 00. No. And I'd say that for anybody. If you have a job and you have your offspring present, like, set boundaries, especially if they're really small. Like, oh man, we would talk about that in prenatal yoga teacher training all the time. Like, telling those moms, set boundaries even before the child is born. Like, back up off me. No, you cannot come and fondle my belly, and back up off me. And that could just carry right on into once they're here. Like, no, you cannot be smooching on my daughter. Like, no. You might be, Jeffrey Epstein. How do I know? And COVID and. Lengthy, longest list ever. Like, admire from afar. Got to be careful about all that. Might be Jeffrey Epstein, but No, you cannot be. What? Come on. Come on. No. And that is so important, particularly, really for everybody, but particularly for people classified as white. Sometimes they don't even ask. They just come over and, ready to glom and snatch your child and all the rest of it. You have to be on the lookout for that as well. Back up. Give me 50 feet. Back up. Touching all on it. COVID, everything else. Back up, man. Back up. Let's see. And we heard the same thing. No count, incompetent white people balling. White woman says she's managing the social media executive, whatever her job is. What kind of experience or training did you? Well, I've been, playing around on TikTok for a few years. $60K a year, and you've been playing around on TikTok a few years. To be classified, he couldn't even get an interview. They closed the position. You got a white woman with no experience. $60K per year. And like I said, how many times we hear that? White person that can't even type, and they get a federal or, at least state job at the courthouse. Can't even type. Hear that sort of thing over and over and over. Z's mom, same thing. All these white people, ignorant, incompetent. We got to waste all this time, go back and correct all their mistakes, and they didn't even get fired, transferred. System of white supremacy. That's the cat. I think I would maybe I'd at least think about it with the roller type thing to minimize because it might be, I would even have to think for other customers because they have other people, they do, other lessons and people come to the house the next day. It sounds like that did happen. People came for a lesson. They might have, cat allergies. Who said they could be sneezing too, like me and non-Clemson dad in here, ka-choo. Yeah, I might have to think about that. Just, even if it was just me, that would be a reason that it's not out of control. It's not asking the person to change and put on new clothes or cut their hair or anything. Just quick roll and all right, we can proceed, move forward and get that air purifier and window open. Maybe we can get through this and everybody will be good. No sneezes involved. Let's see. Much obliged, non-Clemson dad, double O dimples, Mama C, black self-respect. Love it. Make sure I give out the number again. 605-313-5164. The code 564943 #. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. I got to get that black male's name who died in that accident because I just saw that today with that pallet. It was like 2,000 pounds crushed him. I didn't even get his name. I have to get his name. Anybody that does day labor, like I said, you go to the some business or what have you, go to the office and they sign you up. They give you a job. You go out and just work for that one day. It could be anything like construction work or office work or helping somebody move. It could be anything. That you need to be super concerned about safety because those are the type of job. Maybe they give you personal protective equipment. Maybe they don't. Maybe they train you. In fact, they said it. Privileged black male whose name I don't know. They said that when he died under that pallet, 2,000 pounds crushed him. They said, how much training did he get before he went and doing this job, on a job he had never worked before? That was his first day there. 15 minutes. And died the same day. 15 minutes of training. Anybody, you have to work day labor, what have you, just to get a few nickels to get by until you can get more secure employment. Make sure safety, 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 and safety. Now, I get it, being vulnerable in those sort of circumstances. If, you're trying to make sure you got money to take care of your family or yourself or, all of the above or what have you. man, hey, I don't care what the circumstances are. You could be homeless, houseless, sleeping on a cardboard box in the snow. Even then, you work a job and you get killed, well, you won't have to worry about that cardboard anymore or getting your paycheck for that day. If that money was to take care of your offspring, they will have far greater problems with you being crushed under a 2,000-pound pallet than, oh man, how are we going to eat today? In fact, it's going to be way more difficult to eat after you get crushed under that 2,000-pound pallet than if you had asked some questions or maybe even walked off of that job. This ain't safe. I'm not going to do this one. Safety, 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 and safety. No job is worth your life. I would even say no job is worth any sort of major injury either, because you can get injured sometimes where you have a lifelong injury. That's not cool either. Any hoodles, the email untiljustice@gmail.com. Make sure I'm not out of, well, I'm going to say it that way. Other folks can share their view. If you heard Z's mom, her anecdote about Z and them lying, putting it in the newspaper, and this little racist race soldier white child taunting her for a year, I think all that, they might have lied and schemed all that together in advance. Now, if you think that's a bit much and Gus's imagination is getting the best of him, you can let me know, because I've been accused of being a little retarded at times. So please let me know if you think that is not quite plausible. The evidence doesn't seem to hold up that this might have been some sort of racist conspiracy at a child level to get little Junior, the child, because they were mad that a niggra female won this prestigious award in the country, first time for this city. If you think, Gus, you're doing too much. They didn't conspire and lie and put it in the paper. Let me know if you think, Gus you're reaching. Star 6-1 folks have commentary. Let's see. Folks who dialed in, Dog with Black Paw, and our caller in Florida with us as well.
Yes, indeed. We are here. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I just wanted to share, I work at a veteran shelter. It's a mental health facility for veterans, primarily black men. There are also Hispanic men there, but there are a minority of white men who reside there as well, but they're like a clique. It's a little crew. There's a lot of drug abuse in the shelter. Recently, this past week, something that was on my mind, and I was like, I need to call in, man. I need to call in. I had one of these white clients. I've seen him in the facility quite a few times. I've always been respectful with him. This time it seemed like he came in and he was either drunk or under the influence of an unknown substance, which is what we normally say when we have to dial 911 EMS services. For example, I just had to save another Hispanic gentleman the other day who overdosed on an unknown substance by giving him about 8 doses of Narcan before EMS showed up with their, fancy Narcan set up, and whatever they gave him, brought him back. But he was blue. So it's a lot of stress that we're under in the facility. This gentleman locked himself out of his unit. And so normally when they leave their keys in their units, we bring them back to their unit and let them back in. As I'm about to bring him back to his unit, he stops me and he says, "What would you do if you were trying to sleep and all you heard was mother effer this, mother effer that?" Just randomly says this to me. Now I'm confused, but in my mind, I know that there's certain clients in the facility who have more mental health issues that are at least
noticeable immediately than others. And so in this moment, I understand that he's basically saying that there's another client within his area who maybe makes noises during the night that makes it difficult for him to sleep. Now, once again, I did say that this facility is majority black. So as I'm engaging him and speaking with him, he's like, you guys got to do something about this. You better go do your job. And, you know, I hear where it's going, but I'm like you said not too long ago in terms of professionalism, one thing I get heralded for is the fact that even amongst a lot of the turmoil and a lot of the disrespect that we can take, a lot of the time I'm able to keep my composure. This time I go and I know exactly what gentleman specifically he's speaking to because I actually have a bit of a relationship with this gentleman. He had been in this shelter since I got there, and you know he was pretty well known. He doesn't necessarily bother anyone, but he does tend to speak to himself a lot. He likes to be on the phone. Again, you know, mental health. Millie Fuller Jr. What is mental health? And a system like this, I keep that in mind a lot. And so he tends to talk on his phone. Sometimes he'll talk to Obama. Sometimes he'll talk to Michelle. It's very interesting. He was talking to Kamala. But anyways, this individual, this white individual in the shelter, ended up saying, you know, he wanted me to engage the guy, but as I went to go engage the guy, he tried to stop me because the guy ended up coming out of his unit as I knocked on his door to speak with me. And as he came out of his unit, he saw this white individual standing next to me. And so while they may have mental health issues, they're not dumb. And so he put two and two together, and he understood that this white individual was essentially snitching on him, even though what his issue is not necessarily a personal thing, it's a mental health thing. So he gave him like a death stare. And as I start walking back after telling him to just try to hold it down as much as he can, this white individual just starts going crazy. He says, "You nigger boys are going to get somebody stabbed in here. This nigger boy doesn't want to do it." And I will say, this is the first time I've ever heard nigger boy. I will say that. But he's like, "This nigger boy doesn't want to do his job, and somebody's going to get stabbed in this facility because you niggers don't want to do your job and protect the veterans." And it wasn't the first time, definitely wasn't the first time that the N-word has been used or directed at me. But something about the nigger boy, and this gentleman was only, I wouldn't even say 50. I'd say he's probably in his late 40s, if that. So long story short, he says all of this. I end up having to write an incident report about it because he said something about someone potentially getting stabbed. And so I also try to do a good job in these reports, and I think maybe this is something constructive to share. When I write my incident reports, I always try to do the best job I can of detailing, especially when it's white individuals, specifically what they say about staff, which is predominantly black. And there's another client who we have a security guard. I don't know if it's something that should be funny, but I tend to laugh sometimes. He gets drunk. This is a white individual, white veteran. He tends to get drunk, come in the facility, and there's a room called the blue room. So when you're too intoxicated, we have to place you in the blue room, and I'll end it here, right? We have to place you in the blue room. And so when you place someone in the blue room, some of the clients, they object to it. Others just feel it's interesting to me how a lot of the Hispanic and black clients who, even while they're intoxicated, when I tell them they have to go in the blue room, they still cooperate and go in the blue room. What I've noticed is a lot of the time the white individuals will not cooperate, so much so that this one individual I'm speaking about in particular, we have a security guard, a beloved security guard at the front desk, elderly black woman, has a very good relationship with most of the veterans in the facility. This individual calls it Big Mama's Blue Room. So when I would say, hey, you got to go in the blue room, man, you're too drunk, you're stumbling, he'll say, I ain't going in the Big Mama's Blue Room. I'm not going in the Big Mama's Blue Room. And I always found it interesting that he even referred to her as that, you know, the mammy caricature and things of that nature. So those are just two instances I wanted to share from just the past few days for me at work. And, you know, I need to get in the habit of sharing more frequently because there are a lot of definitely racism, white supremacy oriented interactions, even regarding Department of Homeless Services and like their policies within the facility and how we go about things. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Thank you for listening and taking my call.
Is this a federal job, sir?
It's not a federal job. Hey man, if I could get paid federally, I'm not sure if I want to be on that watch list, but I wish it was. It's not a federal job. It's actually, I started off entry level. It's social work, essentially.
I see. Okay. Wow. Much obliged for sharing. I was confused at first when you were giving the anecdote and the race soldier, when I didn't know who he was talking to. If he was talking to the client who he said was being too loud, talking to Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris, or he was talking to you. But then as you explain, it's like, oh, he was calling you nigger boy. It's like, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm
a younger face. I will say that.
Well, that doesn't matter, nigger boy. That's...
Yeah, right.
Did you have more?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's the other dynamic that's weird is that, you know, most of the veterans are about 40, 50, 60 and older. And so I do think there's another dynamic in that regard where it's like this younger black male is trying to give me direction. And, you know, obviously they're already not in the best of circumstances or places. So, you know, they take that out in different ways. But absolutely in no way, shape, or form does my age justify being called nigger boy. You're correct.
For sure. Much obliged for sharing, sir. And I'm sure that is a part of the dynamic in terms of, you know, if I'm an older white man, I don't listen to no niggers, and then you got this young nigger dude, you definitely not gonna boss me, some nigger child. Like, get on out of here. But I mean, hey, you could be 90. You could be Fuller's age. You is a nigger boy to me. Racist man, racist woman, racist child. So really, to me, it sounded about the same as you saying, I guess, the white fella saying, oh, I'm going to go to Big Mama's room. I'm not going to Big Mama's blue room. Like, what? That's about the same thing. Mammy, I'm not going to Mammy's room. You're not going to put me in Mammy's room. Like, okay, they don't even call it Mammy's room, but yeah. Even drunk, you don't forget the racism. You got it. And I remember when you said nigger boy, I have heard nigger boy before. Where have I heard nigger boy? Terry Andrews. During COVID, when it all was in the mid, I think around 2021, Terry Andrews, privileged black male flight attendant, he talked about being on the airplanes and having to request that passengers wear their mask. And he gave a specific anecdote when they testified at Congress about the air rage abuse that was being directed at flight attendants. He said he asked the white passenger to put his mask on, and the white passenger just said, look here, nigger boy, you don't tell me to put on a mask. I am a white man. I do what I want. You don't tell me when. Shut up, nigger boy. And Terry Andrews told Congress, he said, oh my God, he said what you said. I never heard nigger boy before. They don't train us what to do. Somebody calls you a nigger boy at 10,000 feet. He said, I tried to remain calm, and I told him you got to wear your mask, and aren't you concerned about other passengers, and you might be banned from future flights. Nigger, you don't tell me, put on my mask. Terry Andrews, that was the first time that I heard nigger boy. I think I've heard it since. But I said then, I've not heard nigger gal. I've heard nigger woman I heard the governor of Mississippi called Fannie Lou Hamer a nigger woman, repeatedly, in fact. But nigger boy, that was the first time. So, yeah, I've heard that. Me, Terry Andrews, all us nigger boys, nigger gals. Yeah. But that whole tacky exchange, I'm so glad he said he document the threats, the racism of it all. Stab, like that could be me. It's all you gonna stab the nigger boy because I didn't do my job. I told him to be quiet. What did you want me to do? Put him in a headlock, beat him upside the head, lynch him, throw him out? What you supposed to do? Take his phone away from him? Now you can't call Kamala Harris. Now you'll shut up. Man, that sounds dangerous. Like I would be on super duper document everything, especially anything like that. Like, oh my gosh, like he's under the influence, and I missed my rest, and all of you niggers are to blame for all of this. Yikes. Let me see. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida with us as well. Much obliged. Dog with black paw. Caller at the courthouse should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I just had a few updates I'd like to share. They did say that they were going to be doing an appeal on the white guy, the sheriff deputy, who won that $15 million against Sheriff Watson. Well, he stepped down. It's another black male who's a sheriff now. So I guess they're doing an appeal on that. And I'm hearing many black people say the jury is racist white people. I guess, I don't know, maybe some people was in the courtroom or whatever. I wasn't surprised to hear about that. And I had two quick anecdotes. One was a black male janitor, and we usually greet each other in mornings. So I think last Friday was the so-called staff appreciation day. So I overheard the supervisor, a white woman, offer the black male janitor Krispy Kreme donut with some kind of banana topping on it or something like that. So with my frame of mind, I thought, racism with that, bananas and monkeys, whatever, Donkey Kong and all of that. So I walked past this black male, and he said, hey, man, they're offering me this. They offered me a banana. I'm trying to think of how he said, a banana donut. So it sounded, I suspected that he thought it was racism too. So, I just kept going on into the lobby or whatever. It was last Friday. So I wanted to share that one. And there was a black male who wanted to know about his name still being on his property. And I think he had been getting some spam-type text messages, how it seems to be a lot of those type of calls and things going out to people's phones these days, fraudulent phone calls and things like that. So it was something I guess that was concerning a bank that he had an old mortgage with that he paid off and was satisfied his mortgage. And he was just real adamant on trying to find out if his name was still on the property, him and his wife. So, we had a constructive interaction. And I pretty much told him that, the document still exists, that your name still is the primary name of this property. It hasn't been transitioned to any other name. There's no other deeds. That has been done after your name. So he still ended up wanting to speak to a manager. So I went and got the person that stood in, I guess I'll say stood in, the assistant, a person that I think is involved with the office clique. So she ended up telling this person, a black male, that I pretty much told him, the same thing that she said, that this person does have your name, but I think this is another person's name on this document. So there's nothing to be concerned about, but you can take a copy of it if you want it for your records. And she just told him that. So she walked away, and I was getting up going on another task job on that part of the day. So, he said, hey, he said, I apologize to you, brother, okay? I apologize to you for what I did to you back there. So I just say, you just take care. I didn't know who the person was, but it was an older black male. So maybe it was one of them second confirmation things that I experienced on a job in customer service, where you try to, articulate something about what the customer is talking to you about, and they want to hear it from somebody else, usually somebody white, and they tell them the same thing. So I think it might have been one of those instances again. And that's all I have for the week. And thanks for allowing me to share.
Do it. Wow. That is, I feel like you've told us that before. Ooh, I don't want to have you told us, have you had that happen before, where a non-white customer came to the courthouse and asked you, blah, 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 and you told them the information and they didn't believe you, and so they had to go get a white person? Have you told us about that before? Or even a white person, have you told us about that before?
Gus, most recently it was a white woman that was speaking about the white man that she got a divorce from, and she said that he was getting more copies sent to 2 addresses or something like that, and she only got one, and she was thinking that she shouldn't have to pay for a certified copy. Then I went to get a white woman, and she told this white woman the same thing. And I tried to speak to this white woman, the manager, another clique member, of course, and she did that. I'm going to use the Voltron metaphor, defended the white woman. Oh, she just have a speech impediment or something like that, and she just still learning about some of these things. But I think that's all it was. So that's how she was talking. But it was another one of those kinds of encounters.
Oof. It does not get any better than tacky. And that's one for sure, like composure, because that would definitely irritate me. Yeah, for anybody. You come, you ask me for the information. I had to go through the same process to get hired and all that. They put me in the segregated section, but they did hire me and they put me here. You asked me, I gave you the information. You don't know, nigger. Shut up, nigger boy. Move. Give me a white person. And they come say the same thing. Oh, okay. Like, man. Whew. Composure. That's it. I do need, like, it's not the most important thing in the world, but like the banana donut, I will preface everything by saying I have never seen donuts with banana on top of them. In my time on the plantation, I've never seen that. And I have seen some exotic donuts in my time on the planet, like donuts with bacon on them, all kinds of things. And I have had banana nut donuts. Even those didn't have banana on top of them, but the banana was in the donut. They were amazing, by the way, but they had walnuts on top of them. not banana. So that said, now when he began that portion about the black male being offered, oh, we got, banana Krispy Kreme donuts, I was not thinking, they trying to put some old gorilla racist, I was thinking, they always got to put diabetes on us, man. Like, why are they always trying to stick some old high fructose corn syrup and refined sugar? Like, nah, I don't want no Krispy Kreme. You got to get me 300 pounds and Joe get the fat. Like, nah, I'm good. That's what I was thinking. Like, nope, I don't need no Ozempic. I don't need no Krispy Kreme. Thank you. And he said, man, go with your racist bananas. I'm a gorilla and baboon. That's what you think of me. And I was like, wow, I was not thinking that. Am I being cool? And then he said the black male came and said the same thing. I felt even more retarded. Like, dang, I would, oh my God. But I was just thinking, we do not need all that extra sugar. Like, really, get out of here. Like, anyway, either way, they always bring something retarded that you do not need for food. That's why I've said no eating. I'm glad, even though we did not have the same reasoning around it, it was the same conclusion. No thank you. And sound like you didn't take the donut either. So bravo all the way around. He came back and apologized, though. Like, that is not that he didn't ask for it, not that we're looking for an apology, and that certainly does not replace white supremacy with justice. But dang, at least I will take the acknowledgement that is super messed up. You told me the correct information. I don't listen to no nigga, but you give me a white person. Woo! I will take the acknowledgement that, yeah, black brother, that is not very brotherly of me for me to just, you don't know what you talking about. But since that's true and so widespread, that's why I say, don't call me brother. Because, for real, if it's, whatever, let me go get a white person that knows what they're talking about. If that's what you think of me, and that's so widespread, and white people are to blame for that. They are but that doesn't make it any better. Since that's so widespread, I knew he had told us that before. He said most recently. He didn't say the only other time. He said most recently, Brother Gus, it was with a white person. But since that's the case and it's so widespread, nah, man, we're not brother. And so, and that way, I don't take it personal. He didn't come on here, Brother Gus, these filth-flaring coons done came up here again. I done gave them the right information, and they're going to tell me, shut up and go get away. Man, I killed one. He didn't sound that way. He said, Brother Gus, it happened again. They done came and, yep, went and got it. He just ran it regular old, just like he was reporting the weather. And, yeah, he went, got the white person. They told him the same thing. Yeah, He came back. I forgot all about it. I didn't even really remember him first. He said, brother, I just want to apologize for my wayward conduct before. I thought you just old ignorant coon. I want to apologize, black brother. Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Still learning. Right on. Go on with it. It's probably going to happen again tomorrow, so I can't even get to it. It's like, woo! Having correct expectations and keeping your composure, that right there, super important components of replacing white supremacy with justice. And this is the best end to the program. I got interrupted. It was the best interruption ever when the caller at the courthouse was speaking. Sade Robinson's mother called me while he was telling us about the black brother apologizing. I recognized her voice because we have been talking about this case for a year. I had to tell her, can you give me 1 second to end the program? And then Sade Robinson's mother. Dahmer Land. Anyway, we put that for Women's History Month, Sade Robinson. We will be here tomorrow to wrap up Dr. Maya Angelou, A Song Flung Up to Heaven. Oh, I'm so glad we're done. I'm so glad it's short. Woo-woo. And then we'll be here Saturday, compensatory call-in. Skip one day for Sunday, and then we're back for Monday. White guest, North Carolina history, the Klan, the late, great Nelson Johnson. Looking forward to talking about that as well. So tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, on the counter-racist grind. Sobriety would be bet for Sade Robinson. Sobriety would be best. With that, we'll be here in about 24 hours. No gossiping. No name-calling black people. For Sade Robinson, who was murdered and dismembered at 19. No throwaway offspring. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.